Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we are back. I'm still, congested. 2 weeks ago I had to cancel the show. We were back last week without a guest. I am getting guest booked. I am. This is the guest we were supposed to have a couple weeks ago, and she got sick. Or it was last week, actually. She got sick, but she's on tonight. All the way from UK, she'll be on, hopefully. We didn't have her for sound check, but she's in the UK, so I'm always appreciative of them. Her name is Alison Grey. She is a medium and author. Her new book is called Mindful Medium, a practical guide to spirituality. We're going to talk about her life as a medium, what she's gleaned from her experiences about the other side, the spirit world, and just generally a lot of their experiences. I mean, mediums, I think have had a lot of different paranormal experiences. We'll get into all that tonight. And then take phone calls later in the show. Now, I don't think she's doing any kind of readings or anything like that. We're going to be really talking about her book and that, but we'll see. We never know with a medium. I'm not going to put her on the spot for that. There's not a lot of things the medium can do in a 5-minute phone call. I mean, I've seen some amazing things on this show, so, it's up to her. But really, it's about her experiences tonight and helping people discover their spirituality and how to in touch with their own mediumistic abilities, because I think we all have those abilities. We'll get into all that. And like I said, a lot of weird in the World Wide Web of Weird, so we got a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and get rolling on into the show. Find my mouse. There we go. All right, there we go. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest will be joining us after the World Wide Web of Weird in our first commercial break. Joining me as usual is my beautiful co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing well, thank you. I'm happy to be back.
Happy to have you here, too. You said Rob was trying to make it on. I know he's trying to see. I was hoping to get here in time for the World Wide Web of Weird, of course, because it's always better when he does it. It always is. But I'm glad you're here, and we'll see if Rob makes it, too. But, tonight, our guest, Alison Grey. So next week, just so you know, because sometimes I forget, and I don't say this at the beginning of the show, and I know some of you guys don't make it to the end sometimes. I don't blame you. It's a late show. Next Sunday, no guests. Remember what I've said now for the future. And I am booking guests, but so far as I have it, I have no guests next week, but we will have a show. We'll do the World Wide Web Weird, maybe an extended World Wide Web Weird. So much weirdness going on. It's easy to do. And some phone calls and a shorter show. That's what we're going to do on nights we don't have guests. I have shorter shows, open lines, maybe a longer show if you're all calling. If you're calling in, I'll go longer. That's how it goes. You want to call in and talk? We get good conversations going. I can go all night. No, I won't, but I'll go longer if you want. We got a lot of weird to get to, so let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web Weird, I thought I'd start off with this. We have another mass hysteria school thing. Yeah. I mean, 9 years of doing the show, right? 9 years, I think. We've had so many of these, but I'll keep covering them because I find them so incredible. And they happen in all different places of the world, except I've not seen it here, as far as I know, really like this in the U.S. I could be wrong. I could have missed it. Maybe I've forgotten one. But I don't think we've had them in the U.S. It seems to be Africa, South America, are the main places we're seeing these. But why? For those listening on the Paranormal Soup radio network, we are a webcast. We do show videos and photos and stuff at times if you want to come watch. Otherwise, listen and I'll narrate best as possible. You can always go check it out later on the archives, too. If you don't have time to watch, you're just listening or something, late night working somewhere. And I don't see Rob yet, so I'm going to share the screen. It's always better when he's here. I know, Rob. It's all right. All right, let's see. I mean, I got my total still, like, cold radio person voice. Like, it's scratchy. Yeah, really deep. I hate hearing it. It's like the typical, like, radio voice. All right.
All dark
This
and
is nasty, man. Yeah, the bronchitis crap or whatever, allergies. Oh, my God. I know. You don't want to hear about it. Original article from Daily Sun here. Pupils possessed by evil spirits. I have the Coast to Coast article by Tim Binnell because it's shorter. And not as laggy. I tell you what, Daily Sun, you try to like throw that up on your tablet or phone, it's such a laggy website. Sorry. All right, so a school in South Africa was forced to close for a day after dozens of students began acting strangely in mass hysteria incident that has been blamed on evil spirits. The unsettling episode reportedly unfolded last Monday morning at the R.A. Padichi Primary School in the community of Dolphin Coast. Beginning with a handful of students claiming that they were having visions, a panic swept through the school and ultimately ensnared approximately 30 children who were overcome with hysteria that caused them to scream and frantically run around the classroom. The bizarre outbreak prompted administrators to cancel classes and hold a meeting with parents wherein the weird situation was addressed. A father who attended the gathering and called the principal explained that the perceived possession actually started days earlier with a few kids and grew to a full-blown case of mass hysteria wherein almost the whole class started screaming. Eerily, the man said she was told that staff attempted to quell the situation using prayer, but that was when the children started jumping around, pushing desks, and running. The school subsequently held another prayer session that past weekend, presumably when there was no afflicted students in the building, in the hopes of quelling whatever caused the commotion. To that end, a distressed parent put forward her own theory and offered some insight into the alleged vision that sparked the strange case. We've never experienced anything like this with our kids before the Satanic Church was established here, she said, pointing her finger at the controversial group that arrived in Dolphin Coast back in 2020. Now kids see images of a girl. That last part, images of a girl. What did we have? Was it last week, Jamie? We had the mass hysteria one where it started with two girls, and the one girl sees a doppelganger of her friend who's standing right in front of her.
Yeah.
And it was a girl.
think,
You know, like,
yeah.
you know what makes me think is, Preston Dennett we've had on. He's really good about the schoolyard UFO incidences, how many of those happen near schools and stuff like that, like, or aliens are trying to communicate with children or something like that. But at the same time, we have these mass hysteria things. They're all having visions. Could it be spiritual? Could it be alien? Are they trying to reach our kids with something weird? I don't know.
Like telepathically.
Right. You see what I'm saying? Like, you've had these UFO events and, like, the supposed telepathic communication with children at these things, and then we have these mass hysteria events where they're having visions. What's the difference, besides that it's more evil or seems more demonic than the alien? I don't know. My thoughts. Oh, Rob's here. Rob! All right, Rob's got the screen up. I'm going to let him take over.
I want to see his beard. He said he shaved some of it off. Looking good.
What's up?
What's up? All right, on to the next. Thank you for joining us, Rob. So we got mass hysteria, and then we have strange creatures again in places of, this time it's El Salvador. Strange piece of security footage, and I got this from Coast to Coast, Tim Binnell again. from a farm in El Salvador shows an eerie figure strolling past a farm animal before vanishing into thin air. The creepy scene was reportedly captured in the March town of Chalatenango and went viral on social media in Latin America after resurfacing online this past week. The odd video seen above is a diminutive figure appears out of nowhere and walks in front of the animal that is resting on the ground. The spooky interloper then seemingly disappears as the two creatures in the footage carry on, seemingly unaware of the spooky being that had been previously visiting the farm. Since being posted online, the footage has unsurprisingly sparked all manner of theories as to what the small figure could have been. Some have suggested that the anomalous humanoid was an alien or perhaps a supernatural entity such as a goblin. You know, we've had the goblin footage, I think, last week. Another theory reportedly put forward by people in the community is that the figure is a ghost child that is something of a local urban legend. Meanwhile, skeptical observers posit that the footage is merely a fantastic fake that managed to fool people online. Well, Providence again. Providence is always the big one. You know, like, it's resurfaced. Is it real? I don't know. But this is interesting. Go ahead and play it. You know, but it's, what does it say?
Got a strut going.
Mm-hmm. It's not there very long. I don't know. If there was a person standing behind this video and say, these are my sheep, and I don't know why this happened, you know. I can't do an El Salvadorian accent, I guess, you know.
It almost looked like it stopped and like stepped over something, or like stepped around, like do.
Now he's doing the moonwalk.
The cane.
Thanks to the reverse button.
Hey.
Okay, enough of that. I did see our guest try to pop in. Hopefully she's not having technical problems. Allison, if you're listening, I saw you in the waiting room. And I saw her camera wasn't on, so she might be having technical problems, but we got time. She's got time to figure it out. All right. I really wish I would have brought a water down here, damn it. All right, so on to the next one. I don't know about that one, like I said.
He needs to talk.
Now on to Chile. Chile. We got Chilean senator reveals astounding alien abduction experience. So here's somebody else within government that's been abducted. I'm always interested in these because, you know, are they, take me to your leader? Are they abducting our leaders, you know? I hope not. Chilean senator recently shared an astounding account of being abducted by aliens and then being visited by an individual claiming to be from out of this world. According to local media report, Carmen Biachi revealed the jaw-dropping experience last week during an interview with a Chilean media outlet. The incident, the senator recalled, occurred in an evening back in 2012 as he was driving to the city of Punta Arenas? I don't know. I probably said all that wrong. While speaking to a friend on the phone, Bianchi was stunned to see a large circular light comprised of different colors in the night sky. His car then suddenly shut down, he said, and in a very short time, less than a minute, I show up around 100 miles away from the site of the strange sighting. Reflecting on the moment, Bianchi mused that he was deeply shaken by what had just occurred, especially since he was alone at night and fearful that something else would happen to me. While the senator made it to his destination without any further incident that evening, his concerns that the UFO was not quite finished with him were seemingly borne out a few days later when a mysterious stranger visited his office. He told me he was an alien, Bianchi shockingly said, indicating that the bald man gave him photocopies of a magazine that had to do with an alien presence. Early, the self-described ET told the senator that he would someday reveal his story to the world. Although he described the materials given to him as nothing extraordinary, Bianchi mused that the meeting made him worry that someone would know about his experience, as he had apparently not told anyone about it. Imagine that. So you have this experience, you tell no one, especially you're in politics. That's usually a killer. Used to be. And then this guy walks in and tells him, I'm a hybrid or an alien hybrid. I know you've been abducted. And, it says all this stuff. I'd blow your mind, man. Let's see, where am I at? Sorry. That part blows my mind. The guy knew, and he has told no one. The senator said that he experienced a peculiar series of synchronicities around owls, which are often associated with UFOs and aliens, which last around a month. Additionally, Bianchi observed that the suspected abduction seemingly left him imbued with some kind of static energy that caused those encountered to feel tired. The other thing that people sometimes describe is that you drain batteries. I drain batteries. What does that mean? I do. Ask people that know. As one might imagine, Bannacci's incredible account has caused quite a stir in his country, with some marveling at his experience, while others have ridiculed him or called his story into question. Response to the furor surrounding his revelations, the senator said that the truth is that I didn't want to talk much about this, but had grown fed up with those who cast doubt upon his experience. It's been like you're crazy or smoked something or unfit, Bannacci lamentated, but it's what I lived. What do you make of it, the Chilean senator's story? Blah, blah, blah. That's Tim Biddle's question. What do you make of it? I make of it as an honest account. This guy, man, literally has a lot to lose to tell this story.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so much more believable. I mean, he gains nothing as a politician. You don't. You do not gain anything. You might get some people that are in the UFO community going, yeah, speak the truth, brother. But that ain't going to get you votes. It's not going to help you. So when a guy like this that's in politics comes out and tells you, sir, you better damn well listen, he's got a reason. Like, it's real. I believe this guy. More power. I'm the UFO guy. More power to you, buddy. Having, a short political career.
Yeah.
I mean, ask Dennis Kucinich. You ran for president, and Tim Russert asked him the UFO question. No other serious questions about his stances or wherever in those presidential primary debates back in the day. Didn't ask him a serious question at all. Just asked about the UFO thing. That's the only question he got after 23 minutes. And then it was like, we're not going to ask you anything else. You're a UFO nut.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe these things have changed, but,
Still.
I still don't think they've changed that much.
Uh-uh.
All right. We got to move on. Wait. So we got the Chilean president. Now we're on to a Slovakian politician. You know what's even more unpopular for a politician to say besides saying they're abducted by aliens? To say the world is flat. That's really unpopular. Really unpopular. But this guy don't care. No F's given.
None.
I got a lot from Tim Biddle tonight just because of the shorter articles. Thank you, Tim. A Slovakian from Coast to Coast. Go check it out. Slovakian politician understandably raised eyebrows in his country when he suggested to a reporter that the Earth may be flat. He just suggested. He doesn't say it is, Chief of Staff of the Culture Ministry, Lucas Machala, reportedly put forward to a very weird argument during a recent television interview in discussing a new proposed public broadcast. In discussing a new proposed public broadcaster, he was asked if those with alternative views such as flat earthers would be allowed airtime on the state-sponsored outlet. State-sponsored outlet. That does not sound like a very free country, I was saying. In response, Machala offered a rather surprising question of his own. Has it been proved that the earth is round? Oh, I love that one. Continuing the line of thinking, Machala queried the reporter, have you been to outer space? No, nor have I. Such is ultimately mused that I don't know whether the Earth is round or flat. As one might imagine, Machala's curiosity concerning the shape of the planet gathered him a considerable amount of ridicule in his country, leading him to lambast the program while insisting that I am not a conspiracy theorist. That said, the politician notably did not dismiss this infamous flat Earth theory, despite Slovak astronaut Ivan Bella assuring another media outlet in the country that indeed the planet is round. I love the argument. Have you been to space to see that it's round? No, but man, we spend billions of tax dollars. We better be round. It better be round. How much money we spent to send people to space. We actually, pretty much you can prove the Earth is round without having to go to space, but we're not going to get on that. I'm just saying. Oh, at least the guy's not building a rocket and kills himself trying to do it. Sorry. Is that too soon? All right. Moving on. Where am I? I know. I'm an a-hole. I'm not trying to make a joke about somebody's death, but the Earth is round. I'm pretty sure.
He did blow himself up.
I haven't been to space to say. I don't know for sure, but my bet would be the Earth is round. I know. I probably lost some subscribers.
And it's funny because they still will refer to it as a globe. Like during their argument, they'll still refer to it as a globe while they're talking about it being flat.
I know we're open to all ideas and beliefs and people we can discussion on here. And I've not honestly had a flat earther on the show. I don't think ever. No. I think I've had a couple that have that notion a little bit though.
And I can see why some people might look at it like a contact lens or dry water.
I can get I get why people think the Earth could be flat because
Yeah.
you live in a world full they're always lying to you, and the world's full of crap. So if I don't criticize you or think you're stupid because you
Yeah.
think the world's flat.
I'm just
You're
glad
just
you're
missing.
thinking.
You're
It's
just not
cool you're
informed enough.
thinking.
Yeah, question authority. I get it. But the Earth is round. Just there is some research you can do that'll cure you of that thought. All right, let's move on. Where was I? All right, conspiracy theorist. Here we go. More of that. Claims demons are responsible for UFO sightings. Remember this guy? I don't have time to read this whole article. This is the guy who Buzz Aldrin punched. You remember that?
Oh,
When he got in his face? Yeah, he surfaced up again with this whole article. Original article here from the Irish Sun. Is that like the soap? Irish Sun! Smell like spring fresh. I don't know. Sorry. I'm Irish. Hey, I could do it. Bart Sibrel, who was famously punched in the face by astronaut Buzz Aldrin after heckling him over the moon landings. Should have had that video just to replay.
I
It's
know. I
hilarious.
want to see that.
I want to see
again.
Buzz punch him again in the face. There seems to have been a rise in people assigning religious significance to UFO phenomena in recent years. Like Tucker Carlson was talking about it, right? Fox News. Now he's fired from there. Well, some have come to see that these objects are angelic in nature. Other such conspiracy theorists, Bart Sibrel, believe the complete opposite. Speaking recently to the Joe Rogan Experience, dude. Sibrel suggested that demonic entities are plotting UFOs, or piloting UFOs, and that they have been deliberately masquerading as extraterrestrial visitors as part of some relevant, mysterious plan to dominate the mankind. And there's a lot of people that have this belief, and you know what? I can't say I know that one. I might know the Earth is round, but they might have a reasonable argument. Are we talking about, you call it tomato, I call it tomato? You call it alien, you call it demon. You call it alien, I call it angel. I really don't know. We're talking about things that could be extra dimensional. So as much as I don't like this guy, and I love watching Buzz Aldrin punch in the face, his religious argument could be right. It's just interesting. There's a lot of this coming about lately in the UFO community.
A lot.
I'm watching the video, and he gets a good punch on.
Oh man, Buzz can throw a punch, man.
Boom. Yeah.
Man, that all those pent up years of frustration and like people are like, see, he's punching him because they didn't go to the moon. No, I think he's punching him because he's been frustrated for all these years because he went to the moon and saw something completely incredible he'll never be allowed to talk about.
What?
Yeah.
Swear on the Bible.
Swear on the Bible.
And this guy FOA.
We got to move on though. Oh, I realize how far behind we are. All right, number 6, really quick. I don't have time to read this article. Elon Musk is back talking about aliens. Alien life and UFO at the LA conference he just did. I don't have time to read all this, but basically it's the same deal. I love this picture in this article. Same deal. He's like, well, SpaceX satellites have not seen any, so, I would know. At the same time, he's got military contracts, big time. A lot of their money they made, billions of dollars that SpaceX has made is from the military. And military contracts. He will never, I'm sure if he does know, he's signed very secure NDAs to keep those contracts. So he can be very flippant about it. Maybe his way of dealing with lying is just to be like, I would know. But no, I don't know. There are plenty of evidence, Elon. He says there's not really any evidence. There's lots of evidence, Elon. That's the best part. That's the worst part when he acts like that. He says there's no really evidence. Have you looked? Have you really taken a deep look into it, Elon? Or,
Like
you got time and money, you could really take a look at it. I don't know. It's just the arrogance.
It's like his opinion. It's not like a fact.
I don't think he treats it as anything else, as fact. I don't think he's that arrogant. But he's arrogant enough to think that he's, totally right. He's not really looked into it. When you say there's no evidence, I'm like, have you really not looked? I honestly, if anybody says, hey, there's no really evidence, they really haven't looked.
And is that
there's
like,
a crap load of evidence. Going back, ancient alien evidence.
Yeah, is that calling every abductee a liar then? It's like their story's not credible. There's no evidence. They're making.
And there's, like I said, you can get into the archaeological evidence. To my opinion, there's plenty of evidence in our pre-ancient history to show that we've been visited. But I think they're still here. Hey, but Elon doesn't because, SpaceX.
Yeah.
Again, military contracts. Can't trust anything. And last up, can you trust the Vatican?
Yeah.
I am not trying to knock on anybody's religion. Not at all. But this is interesting. Vatican holds press conference on the topic of supernatural phenomenon. Claims of weeping statues in the faces of Jesus and pieces of toast are likely to be met with a significant degree of additional scrutiny from now on, thanks to the guidelines that were revealed during a Vatican press conference earlier on today, compiled by the Vatican's dicastery, I didn't even say that, for the doctrine of faith. The new guidelines are a direct response to rising claims of supernatural phenomena and divine intervention on social media and elsewhere. There actually is. I mean, like, I've heard it from people involved in that area. Like in South America, the rise of demand for exorcisms are huge. Like, it's gone up astronomical. People are all the time. Look at the mass hysteria cases and the belief in it. You know, I think people are in still a bad state of mind after COVID, and then, you know, prospects of World War III don't help. We're in not a great place as humanity, and that brings about these things. I'm not saying they're not real either. Demon. But the fact that they're addressing this and that they're going to have stricter guidelines is that they're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with too much stuff. Because something weird's going on. I mean, look at all the mass hysteria cases. These kids are seeing something, or it's just it's a TikTok thing. I mean, that'd be a good thing to investigate for my, you know, because I don't do TikTok, Jamie. There you go. Is there some secret TikTok trend out there like, hey, let's prank our school and act like we're all mass hysteria and seeing ghosts and visions? I don't think so. I really don't think that's what it is. There's something weird going on, as usual. And, you know, is it alien? Is it demonic? You know, tomato, tomato? I don't know. But a lot of weird going on, and that is it for the World Wide Web of Weird, blah, blah, blah. Our guest tonight is medium and author Alison Grey. She is the author of The Mindful Medium, a practical guide to spirituality. She will be joining us after this short commercial break. And then later in the show, we'll open up the phone lines for your questions. Call in, join the conversation. We're going to talk about psychic abilities, mediumship, her ability, her experiences, and maybe your experiences. You know, you could learn something from her, or she can learn something from you. Call in, have a conversation with us tonight, but that'll be later in the show. All right, guys, we'll be right back.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Of the second kind, physical evidence of a UFO. Close encounters of the third kind, contact. From Steven Spielberg, the director of Jaws, comes one of the most ambitious and unusual films ever made. And what you will see has never been seen before. It's a cosmic mystery crossing what many scientists believe will be the next threshold of human experience. It is called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It begins in an Indiana town and leads to one inescapable conclusion. We are not alone. Close Encounters of the third kind, Certificate A, now showing at the Odeon, Leicester Square.
The international chart-topping Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest has been described as terrifyingly real, a must-read, shocking and chilling brilliance, genuinely worrying, utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest, the true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is medium and author Alison Grey. She's the author of The Mindful Medium, a practical guide to spirituality. The Mindful Medium is an inspiring practical guide for awakening. Inside those pages, Alison Grey applies her knowledge and understanding of the spirit world to help you understand yourself better, to change you to a more positive mindset, and to develop your own healing and intuitive gifts with easy, practical, step-by-step exercises and visualizations. Wow, I cannot talk. Detailing the initial signs she received from the guides, angels, and her loved ones, Alison acknowledges how these first steps of her own journey led her to where she is today. A successful psychic medium, healer, spiritual teacher, and counselor, her teachings weaves a fascinating and accessible alternative way of thinking, encouraging mediums to deepen their own intuitive and psychic skills while helping them to find answers to life-important questions. Tonight, I have a lot of you, and myself, have had mediumistic abilities. You know, I've never really pursued mine so really too hard. I've gotten into it a little bit. But I know some of you guys definitely have abilities and are able to do readings sometimes. Some of you have some great abilities. But tonight, you can call in later, share your experiences, and you know, if you need help maybe, or this is what we're talking about. Her book, A Mindful Medium, is a guide to your spirituality and help you open yourself up to your intuitive abilities. And, you know, one of these nights, Sue, we'll have to do psychic games again. You know, we love doing that. Psychic games, right? And maybe where we let people try to give one reading to another person. We got to get back into that. Help you guys develop your intuitive abilities. That's what we do on this show. Weird Happens Live here. We got a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and get to our guest. All right. I see we got Alison backstage. Let's add her in. How you doing tonight, Alison?
Hello, hi. Thank you for having me. I'm good, thank you.
Thank you for being on early in the morning for you across the pond in the UK.
Yes.
And that's why I totally understood, because I've been sick still, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks out, like still. When you said you had a sore throat, I'm like, gotcha, totally understand. You know, you're not doing that at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning.
It's 4:30 here, actually, yeah.
Well, I gave a little bit, you heard some of the introduction there, but I like to get from your words of how this, and what you want to share from your book tonight, but how this journey started for you as being a medium.
Yeah, so it's been quite a long process, really, quite a long journey. I started, well, I think when I was younger, I was just very aware of, well, I'm going to not say spirit because I didn't know at the time what that was, but I was
Right.
very much aware that there was something going on around me. I felt things, I didn't necessarily see anything, but I felt a lot of different things and I had funny experiences. And as a very curious child, so, you know, a lot of that time you put it down to creativity or imagination.
Right.
But it wasn't until my grandfather died when I was 10, and he came to me in a dream that I realised that, you know, that there's something more to life than just how we exist day to day. And that kind of put me on the journey through my teens until my second grandfather died and I had another dream experience.
Wow.
But for me, really, it wasn't until I'd had my second son that things really started to open up for me. And that's when I started the journey of opening up, connecting into the spirit world, particularly with the healing. So it's taken quite a long time to get me to where I am today. But definitely from a young child, I had lots of experiences.
It's one of, I mean, this reason I do this show is because, I mean, my whole childhood life has been weird. You know, like I've had these kind of those experiences. I've seen the ghost. You know, I've seen a green floating head, and when I was really young with my cousin, that, you know, like, you know, for me, I knew right away what everybody's telling me about reality, and, you know, there's no such thing as ghost, or, you know, I was like, that's, you know, they're all full of it because I've seen it. you know, at 5 years old, you know, I had that early realization. I think for a lot of kids, they don't even know what they're interacting with. You know, sometimes the things they see or just look like a real person. You know, I had that experience. You know, I didn't know I was talking to a ghost or to my. I actually talked to a little girl. I remember her, but found out it was my mom's unborn child. She was told this by a psychic that knew. Like, you know, little girl your son talks to, he says, "Hi, little girl," or that's your miscarried daughter. You know, and I remember a little girl. I mean, so children, I think, are all kinds of open to this and seeing stuff, but somewhere that gets shut down. But one of the things I find interesting, what I've seen with a lot of mediums, it seems it's a lot of times these things open up more for them after the death of a family member.
Yeah.
And I find that really interesting. Also, one of the things I always say doing this show and being a paranormal investigator, when people find out I'm into this stuff, I get, you know, I lived in a haunted house or I saw a UFO. I love those stories. I love hearing them. But my favorite ones are those like yours, where a family member comes to them after passing, and that experience to me is one of the most precious experiences, one of the most common of the experiences. I even hate to call it paranormal because it's normal. You know, I think this is a very common thing. Can you tell us what was it like with, you know, like your first grandfather, the dream? What happened?
Yeah, of course. So just going back a little bit on that, I think, you know, the fact that we have a connection with our loved ones really makes it real. So when I was growing up, my aunt had what, as we know, is like a haunted house. And even at the same grandfather's house, you know, as a child, I used to hate going upstairs. I used to get really paranoid in the dark if I had to leave where everybody else was to go to the toilet or anything like that, you know.
That's a horrible feeling for a kid.
It was.
When I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. I used to make my sister come with me. We used to come together and we used to promise each other not to leave, stand outside the door.
I was a lonely child. I didn't have that. You know, I really related. You remember The Sixth Sense? You know, he has to go to the bathroom. I'm like, there's so many things in that movie I related to, but in that especially when he's like, I gotta go to the bathroom, but you can sense something's there. You knew, you know, yeah, it's the
absolutely
worst.
terrified, because you don't understand it and you don't know what's going on, and you know our brains aren't equipped enough to understand life after life, because you don't have the questions, unless of course you're being brought up in a spiritual family, which I wasn't. You have no idea what's going on. You just consider yourself as being a bit weird and a bit odd. But I think, having the dream for me was my grandfather. So it felt okay. So even when I was feeling things at the bottom of my bed, even when I used to wake up in the middle of the night and go to see my mum and dad and say, there's somebody there, being told, no, there's nobody there, don't be silly, go back to bed. You can't explain it. But when somebody comes to you that that's very different. And I think, as you say, that's the comforting. That's the comforting.
That's the ones
part.
but I love those stories because it's not about fear or it's not the spooky element. It's the spiritual element. That's the moment when you all right. So when I was my teenager, I was attacked by something malevolent, like a dark entity, a shadow person. Some people say demonic, whatever. But when it ended for me was when this thing was levitating me up off my bed physically. I called out to God to save me. And there's a flashlight, and I saw an old man walk into the room. I didn't know him, but he had some suspenders on and glasses. And I thought maybe it might have been a grandfather. Somebody came in and saved me at that moment. I later saw a picture of my grandfather Bach.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought it was maybe have been my grandfather Harvey because he was really close to my mom, great-grandfather, I should say, great-grandfathers. But I looked at my great-grandfather Bach, and I'm like, that's the guy. That is it. And he looked at me with this look of disapproval like you, because I called this thing upon me. It's a long story. But, that's scary and oh my God, but the beautiful part is that, when you're interacting with somebody, I didn't even know this guy in my life. Yeah. But that moment when I was saved, I felt this overwhelming feeling of compassion and love. And I'm always there. It's like this feeling at that moment, I knew that I'm never alone. There's always something there with me and it doesn't matter what I've done or do, not that there's not consequences or we should have morals, ethics or whatever, but there's no judgment.
No, absolutely.
It's a total, like the feeling of being held by my grandmother, you know what I'm saying? When you're like, it doesn't matter what you do, you can be a total brat. I still love you no matter what. Unconditional love, like you're being held by your mother.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't matter whether you know the family member or not. You're all part of a soul group. So they know you. So they're there waiting for you. But for me, I was distraught actually. We were very close. We're a close family, and I was very close with my grandfather. I love my grandfather. So when he passed, I was filled with that feeling of, well, is that it? Is that the end of everything? Will I ever see him again? What happens afterwards? As I said, I was quite a curious child also, so I had all those questions. And then one night I went to bed and I found myself back at my grandfather's house, and I was just walking around it and I could see everything. Everything was exactly where it was previously. And being from a traditional family, we used to always, the oldest male sat at the head of the table, that kind of thing, when we were eating. And in this dream, it was kind of like, oh my God, Grandpa, how are you? I haven't seen you for such a long time. Knew that it all felt very wrong, and that not wrong, it felt different. And that's what a spiritual dream is like. You know that you're there. You know that you're dreaming. You know that you're awake, but you know that this is also really happening also.
It's lucid.
Yeah, definitely lucid, yes. And I'd gone to sit at the head of the table, which again, I'm not supposed to do because, I'm not the eldest. And my grandfather sat through me. And I remember that feeling of what on earth is going on, because I know that I'm sitting here. My grandfather was sitting completely through me, and we were both there together. And I said to him, what are you doing, Grandpa? What's happening? And he said, well, I'm just showing you that I'm always here with you, and I'm always going to be here with you. And now he's one of my guides.
Yeah,
so sorry.
Well, no, that's kind of what I wonder. That people's psychic ability, we all have these abilities, but I hear mediums all the time say my guides are telling me this or showing me this. Like people that really develop this mediumistic ability and are communicating seem to have a lot more guides. Or they have somebody that's personally interested. That's what it just seems like. And it seems like after somebody passes that there is some kind of extra element added to them because they have this person now there, helping them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely awakening. And I think we have many guides, and there's lots of different guides for different reasons. So my grandfather, so scooting forward a little bit later, and I'll tell you about my other grandfather dream, but scooting forward a bit forward, when I was in a room with other mediums, when we were all learning really, what's going on, how to ground ourselves, how to open up. people would always say, you know, your grandfather's here. He sits in the corner of the room, which was exactly where he used to be, you know. And he watches and he watches and he makes sure that we're all telling him the right things and we're guiding you correctly. And my grandfather, if you knew my grandfather, he was quite a churchy man, quite a religious man, but he did everything by the book. And I just thought that's exactly what he's doing. So he's my guide to make sure that whatever I'm learning, whatever my experiences are, it's done properly. And I love that with him.
Well, it's, you know, you talk about grounding, you know, having guides, you know. There's an element to this when people start, you know, I've seen this, you know, people get like, I want mediumistic abilities, I want psychic abilities, and they start pursuing it and opening themselves up. You can open up your chakras, you can open yourself up, you can open up your energy really bad. That's what I'm saying. There is a good reason to have some guidance in this realm.
Absolutely. And definitely, and I think the first thing that we learn is the grounding. And even now in my own teachings, when I have people come to me for me to teach and develop them, the first thing they want to do is to be, you know, working from the third eye, working from the crown. And I'm like, no. We work from the base, the Earth star, and we make sure that we are grounded. Because unless we're connected to the Earth, you know, we can't safely open ourselves up. Otherwise, we're constantly up there, floating around, and we're not putting any reality into it. And, you know, we have to be, we are humans at the end of the day, and we've got an earthly life. And in order to open up safely, we need to have our feet firmly placed on the earth and be grounded. So that's one of my first lessons.
I had interest in my early 20s because of all the weird experiences I've had. I've had like held somebody's picture, knew their first and last name, that somebody was deceased, knew they hid stuff in their house, had this really huge mediumistic moment, you know, like wasn't trying. But then I can't do it when I try, you know. So I tried to like develop it and get into it. I did tarot as like, you know, and I feel like that's like the beginning stages for a lot of people is tarot. And I think it's really a fascinating thing. I collect tarot decks. I don't do it really anymore. Sometimes I do it live on the show. I read in your, you know, that you started with tarot.
Absolutely, yeah. I came across tarot, and I also came across the understanding that you're not supposed to buy your own set. So I bought them for my mum. Yeah, I bought them for my mum instead, which she said, "Oh, these are very nice, Alison. Thank you," and then gave them back to me because she didn't know what to do with
My
them.
wife bought me a set eventually as a gift. So she's like, "Here you go. Now you have one as a gift."
Yeah,
really nice one too.
Having said that, today I'm not that superstitious, so I buy lots of packs. I've got hundreds of packs.
I don't care. I'm still going to buy my own packs. I don't care.
Absolutely. You know? But yes, I did. I started to open them up and being somebody with that creative mind and having that kind of sense of, I loved stories. I love getting lost in stories. You know, for me, as a child, I was always very creative, writing my own stories in my own little world, in my own little head. For me, the tarot was like a story, and I loved the pictures, and I just felt I could connect with them. They told me things I didn't realize, you know, and very quickly I kind of got rid of the book. So I started with the book, looking at them and what are all the meanings. And then eventually I realized that it doesn't matter what the readings or what the meanings are, because when they're linked together, they come alive and they're, you know, they tell a story. So I spent a lot of time probably in my late teens, 20s, just reading for people, just, you know, and they're always friends and families, you know, nobody taught me the tarot. I kind of found it myself, and yeah, and I love it. For me, it's a tool. So I don't follow any set pattern. So I whenever I link in with people and do readings, you know, I've got my cards here, but I'm not a tarot reader. I don't read them in specific places, because you do, don't you? You have those layouts, and this is what this is your past,
Celtic
your present,
cross,
your future. Yeah. For me, I just lay them down and then connect with the spirit world, and then whatever card jumps out, whatever image jumps out, is what I'm drawn to talk about. Because with the spirit world, when they're connecting in with you, they have to use your own mind. They take over your mind. And if I haven't got the language or I haven't got the image, they will use it with the things that are around me, i.e. the cards.
Remember that crossing over with John Edwards?
Yes.
I remember. I loved that. I did. I mean, people criticized the hell out of it, whatever. I loved it.
I did.
And But I was always fascinated. You know, it was one of the first times you got to see on national television a medium working like that. You know, and I mean, I know skeptics have ripped it apart, whatever. But the way you'd see, and I read his book too. And I see this now doing the show of mediums I've had on the show do readings and that. It's just like I see a red rose. Like they get certain images they've already like set up on their own tarot in a sense in their mind is what it seems like.
Definitely, and that's how I describe it. I say you have to make up your own dictionary. So all these images and symbolism has a different meaning, which is why with books. So when you're looking at, what is the meaning of the Fool, what is the meaning of the Magician, everybody comes from a different point of view because becomes a personal thing. So that's their opinion, that's their understanding. So for me, what I encourage everybody to do is to, if you are clairvoyant, if you're lucky enough to be clairvoyant and you are receiving those images, what does that actually mean for you? And then you build it up. And then sometimes somebody else will come up with something and you're like, I like that. And then that becomes yours. You then begin to own that. So it is a little bit like a dictionary of understanding.
Like communication or telepathy you're trying to build with something else on the other side or your spirit guides or whatever. For me, I always loved the minor arcana because there's the major arcana, there's the main picture, the magician, there's like characters, but the minor arcana, there's several different things going on in a lot of the cards, and I always go, what was my attention most drawn to on that card? What does it mean to me? What am I drawn to on these cards? Because if you look at the minor arcana, there's a number of different things in the Rider-Waite tarot. Things going on in each of those cards. What's your eyes drawn to? What are you drawn to? And I go with that. And it used to work really well. But I've also done readings. I used to do readings with just a plain deck of cards. 52,
wow, yes.
And just I got to the point where like I would just know, 4 cups. And I would just take, how's that image appear in my mind with 4 cups? Not what the tarot would show me, but how does it appear in my mind and go with that. And it incredibly worked really well. I was shocked.
But there's 2 things going on. So firstly, the minor arcana, it weaves the story. It's the depth. So you get the major, which is your signal points, but the minor arcana really does show you how things may potentially unfold. And I always say potentially because of free will. The future is
always emotion.
Absolutely. But reading the playing cards, I spent years, well not years, but I spent a long time in circles where we used to have to read tissues and flowers and crystals and actually what we're doing is just linking in to the person. We're linking into the energy, linking into the vibration. So actually if you're that way inclined and you're able to do that and you're listening to that communication, you can read anything. You can read water, anything.
I honestly
believe the vibration and the energy that you're tapping into.
An energy exchange too. I think what's been what with the tarot. I think by giving somebody the deck, they shuffle it, or them just giving you permission. I think is a big part, right?
Permission is definitely a big part.
Yeah, because I think it's just like, okay, we are going to do this. Intent. We're sitting down. I'm going to give her a reading. The only time I've ever been paid for a tarot reading was a tarot reader. And she sat me down and said, you're going to read me, and I'm going to pay you. Because that's how this works. I'm like, yeah, because you get paid to do these readings. She's like, but no. She's like, the energy is a commitment. The money is a commitment. And it makes it a serious matter. We're not goofing around here. You're going to give me a reading. I'm like, I don't like this. I don't want to take your money. She's like, if it's bad or good, I don't care. I'm paying you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. And I did really well. I knew that her husband passed. I said that her husband had passed from a heart attack. I never met this woman.
Yeah.
Like I knew and I was just getting it from the cards, like in a sense, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't remember what the spread was now to this day, but I remember the one thing I had nailed right, but I nailed a bunch of things she said. She said, you're really good at this, and paid me $20. She was going to pay me $50. I'm like, no. I was so nervous.
Yeah, it's amazing because it is your time. There's a big in the spiritual world. There's this big thing about charging for your time, charging for readings, and at the end of the day, it is our energy exchange. We are working with the spirit world. We are delivering a service, so to speak. And so, everybody thinks that spiritual or healing should be free, but actually, it is an energy exchange, and I think that's quite important. But with you and your experience, it's also, you're looking at the cards, but you would have had the spirit communication, whether you knew it or not, feeding you that information. You're tapping in to that source, and that's what's given to you. They place that, and obviously we have lots of different clairs. So it's not just your clairvoyance, but it's your clairsentience. So clairsentience is how you're feeling. So how does it make you feel? What emotions are you picking up? Because clairvoyance will show you an image, but your clairsentience will be how you feel. And then you might just hear some words or your thoughts, or you just know things, so your clairs are all playing at the same time. But the moment you think about it, the moment you try, is when it's really hard, because
that's what happens.
Your ego comes in, and then you can't. Yeah, your brain takes over.
It's I say about the paranormal. You ever remember the Warner Brothers Dead Frog thing? Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my Showtown girl. Like, I would have the dead frog. Like, it would be totally dance and sing for him, but every time you go to show somebody the frog and get it to dance and sing, it'd be a dead frog. Or just a frog that didn't do anything. That's the paranormal. You try too hard. You try to show a bunch of people. Try to scientifically do a study on it. It doesn't want to work. I'm not criticizing it. Just that's how I've always joked about it. That's what it seems like. I mean, the one time I had, like I said, I had the most mediumistic experience. It was, my wife took me to a friend's house. I know you guys have heard this story a billion times, but wife took me to a friend's house to meet her her best friend's boyfriend. He had a house, whatever, and what I didn't know is they were setting me up to see if I'd know if it was haunted, because my wife kept telling them, it's like, he'll know if it's haunted. She's like, well, then don't tell him why you're bringing him over. As soon as we walked through the door, I'm like, there's something here. And she goes, oh, he knows. And then the owner is telling me all this stuff's been happening. He has these photo albums left by the family previously before, and one of them is like a bunch of World War II pictures, and then their father's funeral, and their father in a casket. I didn't see any names on anything yet or anything, and I just had the photo of him in the casket, really morbid. And I knew when I walked through this door, like, something was off. There's something here. And I had this really hunger or thirst to drink alcohol. I am not a drinker. Not a drinker. And I mean, it's like I just had this one unknowing that I know this guy. Like, I have a feeling, like I know everything about him. Like, there's this feeling, and there's a little voice in my head, and I just suddenly spit out. I go, his name's William. He went by Bill. And the owner stops, looks at me, and goes, well, I haven't told her or you guys any of you guys his name yet. But yeah, his name was Bill. And he walks out of the room, and his girlfriend and my wife are like, what's his last name? I'm like, I don't know. And then I could hear like this it's like your little inner voice going, Eiler. I kept hearing Eiler. I don't know. It's something like Eisler, something like that. That's what I like that. He comes back in the room and like, what was his last name? He goes, Eisler.
Yeah.
And they're like, I remember his girlfriend going, slamming her hand on the table, like, what the hell? And I said, they're like, what else do you know? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why I know these things. I don't know. And they're like, just see what else you can get. I'm like holding the photo still, and I'm like, all I know is his family left this stuff because they were really angry. They had a really bad tumultuous relationship. He was an alcoholic, a lot of bad stuff from the war. He was in World War II, and there's World War II memorabilia he hid in this house they didn't know about. That's hidden somewhere. That's all I'm getting. That's all I know. 2 weeks later, after searching meticulously through that house, the girlfriend found behind a hidden wall under the stairs, a chest box. It was in a hidden wall.
Wow.
All of his World War II stuff, just
Amazing.
like I was told. And I remember talking to my the guy who taught me that, Mike McDowell is a paranormal investigator. Ghost Trackers is the organization he started in Indiana Ghost Trackers. I told him this experience because it happened during the time I was just starting to learn to be a paranormal investigator. He goes, well, not everybody's John Edwards. Just because you had that experience doesn't mean you are. He's like, but these things happen.
Yeah.
So
we can be naturally clairvoyant, and we can naturally be a medium, and a lot of us are. But I think the training and the circles that we sit in help us in how do we develop that? How do we project that out to other people? How do we do the reading? What can we do and what shouldn't we do? And how do we conduct ourselves? That's the kind of training. Because I think, if you've got that connection to the spirit world, you're always going to have it, but you can heighten it. You can strengthen it, but it's really just training your feel. And that's where a natural medium will do that. Whereas if you're not a natural medium, and everybody's got your psychic abilities, we have to develop over a period of time so that we understand how that information is coming into us, and then how we deliver that out and what that actually means.
And I suppose if somebody you're close with passes away and then connects with you and helps you with this ability, they know your mind a lot better than any other spirit. They've been around you. They know the lingo, what theme images to send you to really get through to you. And I think that could be a big part of people getting these kind of communications is reaching that level, like their vibrational level, mental level, and be able to know what the images they're seeing mean. Like, and whatever's communicating with the other side trying to tell them has to know. It's like they only have so many different pegs of images in your mind they have to pull from. Imagine, I guess my imagination about it is like you go into a computer file and you have all these images and you're trying to communicate with somebody, but you can't do it with words. You can only do it with images you show them. Imagine trying to communicate with somebody with that.
It's hard because you're communicating and you're trying to understand an energy and a feeling. Sometimes you get it really clear. And if you're particularly very sensitive with your clairaudience and you can hear it, that's great, But the other misconception that we have that I think is really important to talk about is because when I started, I was like, well, I see, I hear, I can, and I was like, I had great expectations, I wanted to see these people. I wanted to hear.
That's what the movies show you. That's what the movies show you.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
what the movies show you.
And the books, and they make it look so easy. But actually, they're using your body as your vessel. So, it's your thoughts, your mind. And part of developing as a medium is that ability to trust and to really just, express what you're getting and not changing it either. We can't change the words from spirit. We can't, the energy can't come in, the message can't come in, and then we get involved and we then project it up because that's going to be wrong. As it comes in, it has to be delivered before we even get our brains in the middle, and change it.
Our good friend Katrina Cooper's a spiritual medium that we've had on the show a lot. And she's one of the first mediums I had on the show, but I'll hear her say it all the time on the show. She'll tell us, she'll do live calls on the show, and she'll tell somebody something. I'm like, I don't know. She goes, well, that's what I stand by. I don't know. Like, this is just the message I'm getting. I'm not going to change it. That's just the message I get. And sometimes she's wrong. I don't think you guys aren't God. You're not going to be right 100% of the time. There are things.
Sometimes it's not about being wrong. It's just that's our understanding. That's what we are understanding. And, I did a reading recently and I laugh about it because, I brought various people through and she could understand the situations I was talking about. And then then I gave a name. I said, it's an S name, something like Sandra, SA name I'm saying to this lady. No, didn't understand that. Yeah. And then I said, I've got another lady coming in. I said, and she's got a scarf, she had cancer, No, doesn't understand it. I said, she passed when she was young. No, don't understand. Don't know anybody that passed with cancer. And I was like, well, I know this person standing here. I trust my guys. I trust what I get. And then later on, because it was a neighbour's sister, my neighbour said to me, she said, that person you brought through, that was her sister called Sally. And I was like, well, how did she not know that in the reading? But you're so, so aware in the reading of wanting various people to come in that you completely forget.
Blocked out something. How do you imagine that spirit feels on the other side? Like, hey!
I said, well, I'm not taking her back. I'm not taking her back. She's here. And this is what she wants to say to you.
Yeah.
So, I believe, with that other lady, the other medium, she wouldn't have been wrong, but the recipient isn't always ready to receive that information or hasn't or can't remember in that here and now. And I always say I trust spirit more than I trust myself. So if that's what they're telling me, I believe them.
Yeah, and I've seen it happen on the show. I've seen people like later on and go, oh, it was this. They figure it out later. I mean, it's common. And like I said, people come in, they want a certain person wants to come through and talk to you. What do you think? And I've heard different people explain this, but like when somebody does come in, like they lost their father, and then an aunt comes through, or somebody else, are like, oh, okay. Why do you think sometimes a certain family member does not come through? You say because they're not ready. What is that, though? I mean, could it be something? I've always wondered, where the spirit is at in their process of in transition. Maybe I don't know.
I'm not sure I'm necessarily under that understanding that they're lost in transition. Possibly there could be, but for me, there's a medium for every person. So, you know, my energy, they have to use my energy, my experiences, my understanding, and I have to be in line with the person sitting opposite me that I'm giving the reading for. So if that particular person that's coming through doesn't blend with me, I'm not going to be able to pick them up in order to communicate. Sometimes it's because the spirit's not ready, because
Right.
maybe they've just passed over, maybe they're going through their
That's what I
healing
meant.
transition, yeah. Or sometimes it's because the person sitting in front of you is desperate to hear that communication, but actually in hearing any communication, they're still in a grief aspect where then it's not that it's going to make it worse, but it's kind of like they're not ready yet to hear. So I think that there's a lot of different reasons why particular people don't come in at that particular point. It's not forever. They might find it from a different medium. They might find it a little bit, 6 months down the line. So
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I remember the great late Sylvia Browne. She wrote a lot of books. She convinced a lot of people back in the day that she had abilities, and I'm not saying she didn't, because she did a lot. And she there's people who swear by her that she helped them, that she found missing people, But later on, as she got older, and she's doing all these, like, what was it, Maury Povich or something like that. She was doing a lot of these talk shows, and they had people, television, they had people coming in with their missing children. And I remember one, she said, "Oh, he's dead," blah blah blah, and they later did find him alive. I mean, she was completely wrong.
Yeah.
That I've always stuck in my mind, because I didn't hate her for that. Like, I felt bad for her. It doesn't mean people like, see, she's a fake or fraud. It doesn't mean she's a fake or fraud. She's not God. She doesn't know. She talked when Sylvia Browne talked, she talked very confidently. But I think that's just the way you roll as a medium. You have to be confident in yourself. But she was also very ill. She was having health conditions and things. I think if your physical body and mind are not great, because you're getting older and things happen, you're unbalanced, and it's gonna be hard. And here she is doing these shows, and they're bringing up these distressed parents. I would never want to be in that position.
Yeah, it's very, we're very vulnerable as mediums in terms of, people expect so much from us. And you talk about, how it seems quite natural or easy to be a medium. It's not. I mean, I always liken it to a swan. I'm sitting here opposite you. I'm having loads of conversations that you don't know about, and I'm just like, this is coming in my mind, that's coming in my mind, and I'm having to pull it all together, make sense of it in order to communicate it out. So actually, there's a lot going on for a medium behind the scenes. So even though we're just sitting here looking like we're just reading the cards or just, picking things out of thin air, we're not. We're doing a lot of communication with the spirit world. So
do you feel drained too at times, like, from it?
Sometimes. So generally, while I'm in the energy, they're using my energy, and you get the boost, which is what is needed, because we have to raise our vibration in order to connect to the spirit world. And as with that medium, so I've got to raise my vibration, but I've still got to be down here. So there's a lot energetically going on. After a reading, if I've done a couple of readings, then I'm like, oh, that was, that's tough. It was a big day or what have you. But generally speaking, I love the energy. The energy does give you that boost.
Yeah, because you're. I think it's the connection with somebody else and a higher purpose. Maybe, I don't know. I felt that, and I know exactly what you're talking about. When I would try to do readings and that when I was in my 20s, it was like a wow, like you connected with something, and there's this powerful feeling you have. Not that you're powerful, but like this connection that you just made with a person.
That's right. Well, we're the channel, so it's coming through us. And then when that channel has finished, when that communication is finished, we return to be ourselves. So I think that, we're just heightened and then grounded and heightened and grounded. So it's just working through that energy. But that's part of what a medium does. And that's part of, as we're developing, we learn how to do that. We learn to take ourselves out. We learn to shift our consciousness so that we are tapping into the spirit world, because it's not our energy. the energy comes. It's the same with healing. You know, when they're using our bodies, we are that channel. So it comes in, it comes out. We're not supposed to be, you know, anywhere like getting ourselves involved in the middle.
Do you think when you're in a room with a bunch of people who are, I would say, believers, people who are accepting and not skeptical, and you're all gathering for this purpose of communing with spirit in a sense, like you're going to communicate or somebody else there is going to, or you're all taking turns, you're learning, like you're saying, that energy is even more powerful. It opens up your abilities more. I've felt that before, like in group
It's
settings.
that collective energy. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about, like, you know, one of the things we do on here, there's a couple different things we do. I mean, one, we've had shows where we do like psychic game nights. And like I've even read tarot on that. Somebody call in, but I try to get people to call in. Like, why don't you try? I'll bring somebody else on the phone. You try to read them. I've been trying to get people to do that. You know, like, you know, just tell them whatever, you know, or read me, you know. But you know, I'm kind of open book on here, you know. So I'm gonna do it again, guys. I will do another psychic night, and if somebody really wants to, like, come on here and test their abilities, I will set you up with somebody else on the phone, and no judgment. If you get it wrong, nobody's judging you. Nobody is. Don't care. We're all trying. We're just going to have fun with it. Just have fun. It's going to be a fun night. You get stuff wrong, it'll be funny. Who cares? You know, that's why I want to give people that, if somebody really wants to test their abilities, I'm not going to judge you, and, you know, give it a shot. You want to call in. I got 2 different lines. We'll do it. You know, so I want to do a psychic game nights. But what other things do you think we could do, you know, with a virtual setting like this to help people develop on a night? Like, we do a show like that, a psychic development night. What would you suggest we do to help people? Like,
the first thing that I like to do with people when I'm training them or teaching them or helping them to develop, the first thing that we need to do is to link into their energy. So, you know, if we're linking in psychically rather than linking into the spirit world, and I always suggest that you hone your psychic ability before you do and work for the spirit world, because, you know, a good psychic is amazing, but to be a medium, you need to also be psychic, and you have to be aware of that person in front of you, and you must be able to read them. You know, it's not just about connecting to the spirit world and kind of like, this is all I know. You've got some vulnerable person in front of you. And so, you know, unless you're psychic and tapping into them, then, you know, the mediumship can be difficult.
Right.
So what I would suggest to do is to link into the person that they are linking in with. So, you know, what's going on around them? How do they feel? What's their personality?
That's the kind of reading I'm talking about. Somebody do. I'm not telling them to try to do a mediumistic, like, if they can, if they want to try.
Yeah,
but like a tarot reading.
Yeah, or you can pick one card. What do you get from one card?
Right. Right. We have fun. We do Zener cards too, where I do the Zener cards. You know, like the here, I got them. Hold on.
Cards are.
Zener cards, like,
I might know. Oh yes.
You know,
Yes. What? Yeah.
Like, and I'll be like, no. What card am I holding here? Quick chat room. What card do I got? Anybody answer?
Red
You're
square.
asking us.
It's a star. You're too slow. Yeah, that's what we do. We'll do like Zener cards, stuff like that, and I'll do I'll do tarot, Gmail, pull out oracle cards.
Colors.
Yeah,
linking to colors, but yeah, there's lots. I like to do with crystals as well. I mean, that might be difficult on like this kind of format, but yeah, when the people hold a crystal and why they got the crystal, what does that crystal mean, and do crystal readings. That's always fun.
I mean, I could hold a crystal, and people could try to send the energy out, and people try to guess what kind of crystal I'm holding. We could try something like that. We've done some stuff like that
They
before,
can get
too.
the colors, the patterns, the name, the energy. There's lots of things you can pick up.
And, there's like, you get into there's the remote viewing aspect too. You know, like there's people can try to use that aspect to try to like see or look or get into more intuitive, higher frequencies and see whatever we're doing. Excuse me, nasty sounds coming from me. Whatever we're doing, I just want to have a night where, where we do this, where everybody gets, we all get to have fun with it, and everybody might in some way learn or develop or have a free space to try to develop these abilities. And I like that. The other thing we do is we do live spirit box on the show, and we have had communication. We were going to do that again. I know you guys want me to do it. We try to have things on here that are live paranormal, since I'm a live show. And so that I want to do the psychic games. I want to do things that help develop. So I always ask people in your field, what are things we can do live on this show you think would help people develop or whatever. So thank you.
Sometimes I do little games like TikTok videos or videos for people where I lay out different crystals or different shells and I have them focus on it just as an intuition tester to get people to start really trusting their intuition and just look at it for, 15 seconds or so. And which one do you think I'm going to pick up? And then the people, reply if they got it right or if they got it wrong. And you do those enough and say, oh, I want to see another one.
It's about training your skill as well.
Right.
So I think games like that, always good. As I said, you in a psychic circle, at least when you're starting, you do lots of these experiments, you do lots of these things because it really does heighten your intuition. And from that, it's a platform to then either just stay. I mean, it's fine to stay as the psychic and use the cards or use your tools, or then you're ready to listen to the communication and use your mediumship skills. I think all those games, we've all played them, we've all done them. They're great fun. They really are.
Exactly. There's only so much we can do in a 3-hour show for fun, help develop your psychic abilities. But I want to have fun no matter what, and it's got to be entertaining. But we have fun when we do it. I want to do it again, and we are going to have some open line shows. I don't know if I'm ready for the psychic show yet. I want to try to put some together. Next time we do, I really want to try to get some stuff together and try to get people time. Give some advertisement time for that to see if anybody who does want to come on. I mean, that's the thing. You talk about psychic circles. That's the hardest thing for people developing, I think, is to find a community or support or people that want to experiment with you. I got lucky. I married a woman that is totally in the same mindset as me of this stuff. I knew the day our first date that I wanted to marry her because we could talk about these things, and we've experimented and read each other's minds and done stuff. It's great, but not everybody's got that, and I that's all I got on that. I'm happy to have that, but I would love to have like a circle of people in my community to do that. There's nobody here in Indiana I know, hardly.
Really?
Very few.
I bet there are.
There probably are, but like connecting with them, I'm saying it's hard to get those connections. So that's why I love doing that on the show, because I know I'm not the only one. I know there's a lot of people watch the show. They don't know anybody around them to practice this kind of stuff. So we try to do it virtually at least.
And it's always the like-minded, and it's the circles that work well together are the ones that are open-minded and supportive. And not the ones that are, aren't I great at this? There's a lot of ego sometimes.
Oh,
in
yeah.
this business.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not about that. It's about, why are we?
I do know some people in town. I do know some psychics in town. I would never touch them because I know their egos.
Yeah. But for me, it's, we're here to help. We're here to, if you're talking about it as being a service, we're here to help somebody who is needing guidance, direction, reassurance, healing. It's not about what we know. It's not about proving our skills. It's not about proving what we can do. It's about, and so therefore the intention always has to be the right intention, a positive intention. So I think it's find yourself a circle with the like-minded people that have that same value as you.
I'll never forget when
intention.
The first paranormal group I ever belonged to, there was a gentleman who said he had mediumistic abilities, but he didn't channel spirits or he didn't say anything spirits. He was very Christian, but he said mediumistic abilities though. And I'll never forget, he goes into this woman's house and says, oh, yeah, somebody was murdered downstairs and all that. None of that ever happened. I did the research later. But I'm like, you said this out loud to her. Like, you don't do that. You write it all down. We'll research it. If we find out that that's true, then we can present it to her. But you just said that in front of this poor lady that's got to go to sleep here tonight.
And that's what I mean about being
Did that help?
psychic.
No.
Yeah. That's what I mean by being psychic. You have to be able to read the room, read the person, connect up. You have to know that you're going to scare them. You're going to say something that, they're vulnerable. So, being a medium, you have to also be psychic. You have to link into that person because otherwise we can do damage. People often say to me, do you get, when you go shopping in the supermarket, do you see people with other people? Do you go up to them and say, I've got your dad, I've got your mum? Absolutely not. Because even if I did, it's not my place to say. And you mentioned about permission. and you always need that permission. I'll never read
Right.
anybody. People go, "Oh, she's psychic, don't read me," and I'm like,
Oh yeah,
I'm not doing
I've encountered
doing
that. I've encountered that.
Mhm.
I have a friend. He's religious. He's Catholic, and he's a good guy. But he's like, oh, there's stuff in my past, and I'm like, nobody cares. You're fine, But he was worried about the psychic, like
Yeah.
peering in. I'm like, that's not how it works. Whatever you're worried about her seeing from your past, she ain't gonna say it if it's not meant to be known.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like
The
you don't
time
need to
and
be
the
scared.
place.
Yeah, if it's not going to help you anyway for her to say something about it, she's not going to. She's not going to
Yeah.
know. She's not God, dude. She's not peering
Yeah.
into your soul. She connects to your energy and gets messages that might help you. And yeah,
We're out
usually
there
from
just
loved
to
ones on
put
the other
people on
side.
blast.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine a medium like, I got my Festivus bowl, I'm putting it down. Because you got all these spirits from your dead relatives that have a lot of complaints. You've done a lot of wrong things. Nobody's going to listen to you. You're not going to be a very successful medium.
But the thing is, you don't know what the other person's going through. You don't know how their day's
Right.
been. You don't know what part of their grief that they are in. You don't know what their religion is. You just don't know any of those things. You can't just go up to random people just
No.
because you want
That's
to prove.
TV, though.
I
That's set up.
cringe when I see that. Oh,
I
We
know.
won't mention TV shows, but we know which ones. But when they do that, I mean, I know how TV and production works. They have to get those people's permission to be on TV. There's not, there's agreements they're signing, and I guarantee they've already, before she walked up to them, they've walked up to them like, hey, we're from a TV crew. Would you mind if so and so medium over there comes up to you and does a reading? Just act natural, like you're the first time you're meeting her. Okay, thanks. Okay, cut.
Yeah.
That's generally, it's TV. It's not reality.
Yeah.
well, yeah, the TV ones.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that it is
But
the
I
TV
see
ones we're
people
talking
do that,
about.
like not on TV, and
I've
they'll
never
go
seen
up and
anyone.
just start saying stuff to people that
Really?
I'm thinking, what are you doing?
It's a privacy thing, isn't it? I think,
Mhm.
it's not for us to delve into somebody else's life.
No.
I'll only read people that have said to me, "Can I come for a reading?" Yeah, or if we're sitting in circle, that is our permission that one of our loved ones may come through. That's the permission, that's the intention. But yeah, just
Right.
randomly going up to somebody, it's like,
It's
I'm not a
a
nosy
violation.
I also think I also think, I mean, I had a bad experience with tarot once. I didn't even get into this. I was reading, I was playing poker online with meeting a lot of people, and we'd talk about paranormal stuff. And I said, yeah, I read tarot. And I'd read tarot for a number of these people I'd sit at the poker table with. They'd call me up, Ohio, California. And I was doing free readings for people over the phone. I'm like, and it's working. I was doing well. Well, this one girl I read for her, she loved it. She's like, you have to read for my boyfriend. I'm like, okay. I get him on the phone, nothing's connecting. He's like, no. And I'm getting really negative, bad vibes, really creepy, sexual, negative stuff from him. I want to take a shower after this guy. And as I'm on the phone with him, the storm suddenly rolls in, and there's lightning, and it's just it just gets really creepy, and the house is dark, and he's not connecting. I'm just being honest, telling him what I'm getting. I'm like, I see a lot of, we got into some stuff as we were younger, some sexual escapades, maybe some darker times. How do I say this lightly? And the guy is just like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. And then suddenly this flash of lighting hits, and then there's this dude on my couch. I see this dude on my couch smiling at me in a suit, black suit, white shirt, black tie, and he looks like a dead dude, like a zombie kind of deal. But he's looking at me and smiles and then gone. I'm like, okay, well, I'm obviously not getting anything. Thanks, sorry about that. I'll, next time, buddy, maybe we'll connect and drink with me next time. And I hung up with him. I was done. And I didn't read tarot for a long time after that because I felt like I connected to his energy, and it was really, really negative.
Yeah. That's a really important topic to really talk about, because before I do any reading, before I do any teaching, I'm always grounding and always putting that protection around me, because you are tapping into other people's energies. And as a psychic, your energies are blending.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be taking away any of that. They'll be kind of taking all your wonderful goodness, all your lovely light and energy, but that is the exchange. So you need to make sure that you are protected so that you don't have that afterwards. And you talk about being drained. You shouldn't be drained if you've done your protection.
Right.
So
Right.
that's
Well,
a tip for people.
before that, I almost had quit because when I was reading, it was our first year of marriage, and we are in this apartment complex, and there was a guy downstairs had all these parties and people over, and he was having a party, and I said, I'll do tarot readings at your party, and I sat down with this guy I'd talked to before, whatever, and I'm like, why? I'm like, you were involved there? Were you involved in there was a homicide, and you have an involvement in this? And he got white. He's like, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done. And walked up and walked away. And I almost quit then. I was like, oh, like, why did I say that to this guy? It came out of my mouth. It wasn't even a thought.
Because you just knew.
I'm just getting information. It's like, you were involved in a homicide. Oh, okay. I didn't mean to say that. No. But I'm like, is this guy going to kill me? I was worried this guy's going to kill me now. Like, I know too much. Like, he gave me a really evil look. Like, I hit a nerve and and he didn't talk to me ever again.
No, I'm not surprised.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, those two instances are like, I don't know if I want to do this. There's messed up. I mean, at least in my town, there's some messed up people and some messed up energies. And, like I said, this guy made me worry he was gonna like come back for me or something because he was involved in something. He got away with it. I don't know. It freaked me out. Me out. Well, we got to go to commercial break. We'll come back. We'll open up phone lines real quick because people, whenever I have a meeting on, call in. Will you do a reading? Are you going to do any kind of 5-minute or short readings with anybody if they call in? Not. You don't have to.
I probably won't, no.
No, that's totally understandable. I'm just getting that out of the way, people, so you know. No readings, but if you got a question about your experiences or how to develop your psychic abilities, this is your lady tonight. Call in. She's the author of the book, The Mindful Medium, A Practical Guide to Spirituality. We're going to be talking more with her after this short commercial break.
Conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
Please, Spock, do me a favor. And don't say it's fascinating. No. But it is interesting.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID 00JBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Alison Grey. She is a medium and author. She's the author of The Mindful Medium, a practical guide to spirituality. We are opening up the phone lines now. They are now open. Call on the show. You got a question or experience you want to share with Alison tonight. You want to develop your psychic abilities. She is your lady to talk to tonight to get some advice. Call in tonight. I know many of you have abilities, and many of you are developing. Some of you guys are, I think, pretty well along. Ask her a question tonight, how she can help you learn to develop your abilities better. And like I said, we're going to definitely do another psychic game night. I'm looking for ideas, and people reach out to me at paranormalsoupjbland@gmail.com. That's Paranormal Soup, the letter J, my last name bland@gmail.com. That's my email. Email me if you want to be one of those people to call in and test your abilities, and no judgments if you fail or not. And we'll do that on a psychic game night. Have fun with it. Call in, test your abilities. That's how you learn. You got to let it go and just give it a shot, and no judgments. That's what I want to do. I want to give people that ability to help. So we'll definitely do a psychic game night. Our guest tonight, Alison Grey. Phone lines are open. Let's go ahead and get right back into it. Thank you for staying up with us here. We're early in the morning for you there over in the UK, Alison. And thank you, James. Yes, we have Super Chat on YouTube. Thank you, James, for your $10 donation. Missed the last two shows. Glad I made it tonight. Yeah, James, we missed some shows too because I was sick. But we were here last week. So thank you, James. There's also super stickers now or whatever, something like that on YouTube. You can help donate. It does help pay the bills. We're also on Patreon, $2 a month, $1 a month, whatever you want to do to help donate to the show. One-time donation. Like I said, helps pay the bills. So, Alison, we're talking about these abilities and that. You're also into crystals and Reiki. I didn't know if you want to talk a little bit about that tonight and how that could help people develop their abilities.
Definitely. I mean, that's how I started my journey, really. So apart from the experiences, when I first started to open up, I joined a healing circle. And that really taught me a great deal about who I am, myself, my own energy, how to protect my energy, how to ground my energy, how to tap into that healing energy, not just for myself, but then learn how to do it for other people. And crystals are just a beautiful way of allowing those earth's energies, like Reiki, because that's also earth and universal energy, to pull upon that to help other people. And when I say the healing, my understanding of healing is, you know, when it's not miracles, sometimes miracles happen, but healing can work on various different levels. So we're working on the physical body, we're working on the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual levels. So both, you know, on my journey as part of being a medium, I've learned all about the healing energy and how that really can help us in our day-to-day life.
I think some people, they have physical illnesses, you know. But sometimes those physical illnesses, as I see and understand, are directly affected by their spiritual illness. Basically, they're spiritually ill. And they can't heal the physical modern medicine or anything totally, because they deep rooted somewhere in their spiritual structure or spiritual genetics or whatever you want to call it. There's a seed that feeds this, you know, these physical illnesses.
Definitely, because all of we hold everything in our aura. So, you know, as
Right.
when you're looking at your aura and you have the different levels, I can always tell how people are. So when I'm giving healing, depends on how high my hands are. So I know where I'm healing. And if I'm getting really close to the body, because I'm not a healer that touches the body, I always hover. I know some people do hands-on healing, but I don't. But the closer my hands are means that they have allowed those energies to penetrate through to the physical. And I think that, you know, there's always a root. So bad backs, bad knees, but, you know, we hold the energy. Energy in our body has to flow. And where we get stuck, it stagnates, and that's what it turns into, like a physical pain.
One of the guests I've had on several times, his name's Chris Lee, does past life regressions. And the main deal he does with the past life regressions is to eliminate, not cure, but eliminate is the word he has to use, illnesses. And I had a theme from him because I have psoriatic arthritis, and my hands were really throbbing there for a long time. I actually stopped playing guitar so much. Like, I get arthritis in my fingers. I'm only 45, you know, going to be. And it was a couple of years ago, but he did one of these things, and I saw myself as a woman who had, in a past life, had my hands. I was in jail, and they had broken my hands.
Right. Yeah.
And I'd also hung myself with my own restraints, basically, in this jail cell because I was left there and forgotten. And then it was just all visualization. Like, is it real? Is it my imagination making up? And he goes, "What does it matter? If it eliminates it, then it doesn't matter." Now, it didn't really cure my neck thing or eliminate my neck pain, but the hand thing did really stop. And so I really thought there was something to that. And it's interesting because he's had people like in front of him, like suddenly they're like here, they're like my was hoping it happened to me, their neck will pop or something will happen during the regression. But that these past lives even leave something in your energy field that affects you. Have you encountered that or things with past lives during the readings?
Yes, definitely. So I'm a past life regressionist, so I do past lives.
You do?
Yes, and that is fantastic. The energy and the information that you can get from those past lives, because we bring that energy through to us each life. So each life we're here to evolve, and sometimes if we don't resolve things, we can bring them into a current life. Now, sometimes that energy is needed because it's a gift or it's something that we can use to continue to help other people. But sometimes we bring through these things like, you know, chest problems, arthritis, asthma, you know, all things like that. We can bring through those because it's still resonated from our past life. So by tapping into your past life stories or memories, you can identify why you're holding on to those things, and then you can do that releasing, like the eliminating. You can release that because it's not part of what you need in this lifetime. So you can definitely pull illnesses through from past life experiences.
Well, we've had more chronic illness than ever. I mean, it seems like everybody's got a chronic illness. I think it could be past lives, or it could be the horrible food and toxins and everything else in our systems.
There's also that.
Yeah. But I also think past lives do have a direct impact on this. I mean, we're very open in our household with I have a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old, and we've always been very open spiritually in this household. We don't belong to any one particular religion. They do go to church sometimes, you know, with my in-laws and that. I grew up in a very open household. My mom's a Buddhist. My dad's, I don't want to qualify him as an atheist. He's a science person, but he's open. In a sense, open-minded. I would never want to say he's an atheist. He's open-minded, but he believes in science. You know, he's very, very analytical. I grew up in an open household, so that's what I want for my children. So we've openly discussed reincarnation, stuff like that. But the thing is, with my 8-year-old Liam, and this has come up recently. Ever since he was little, he would talk about seeing bodies on a hill, and this horrible image of dead bodies. And that's what more. I don't know. You're a parent, because you hear that come out of your mouth of your 2-year-old, you're scared as hell. Why are they seeing this? I didn't expose him to anything like this. Now he's seen Predator. He's seen a lot of violent stuff. I'm a bad parent. But at that time, no. He was 2 years old. And he's talked about this over the years, and he gets really emotional. You can't get too much out of him, and I don't push him. I'm curious. I would love to know what it's about. But I've never pushed him too hard on it. I let him talk when he wants to. We recently had a thing at school, an incident, and he was really emotional about it. And he's like, I messed up. I've killed people. I know I've killed people. I see the bodies on the hill. And I came up again. So I decided to inquire a little more, not pushing him. And I said, just tell me what you hear or feel when you see this image you've always talked about. What is it? Tell me what comes to mind. Anything at all. I want you to think about it. I want you to tell me anything comes to mind. He goes, I always get this name, Koma or Kolmar. I don't know if that's my name. I don't know. He's an 8-year-old, Maybe he's just making it up for attention. I don't know. I'm just trying to be there to listen. Well, he had said that name a couple of years ago to my wife, too, I found out. But that name, as a history buff, and he's been fascinated with World War I and World War II. My wife always is like, I think he's from World War I. Well, that's a World War II thing I know of, is the Colmar Pocket. It was a last battle in France it wasn't the last battle, but it was like one of the last battle of the Bulge. And they were fighting over a hill. It was very bloody. I couldn't remember all the details of it when he had said Colmar. I'm like, I know that's a battle. And I went and looked it up, and we're right. Yeah, Colmar Pocket, and there was a Hill 351, and they were all fighting over it. It went back and forth between the Nazis, Americans, and the French army. And so I did my research on it, and then I went back to him and I said, "What does the name Colmar Pocket mean to you?" And when I said pocket with it, his eyes lit up. He goes, "That's it." And he went and I said, "Do you want to see pictures from that time, from that battle? From people? There's some famous, one of the most famous World War II vets. His whole thing there, Aubrey something, whatever. They, it's not a very well known battle, but no way he would probably know about it.
No.
But he, he's had these images. He knows that name, and he's always been his room is decorated with camouflage wall. He's always been fascinated by soldiers. But he also says to me during this time, whenever he gets in, I don't want to be a soldier. I don't want to die. I'm like, dude, I will shoot your big toe off before I let you go. So don't worry. Dad's got your back. But it concerns me. What do you do with a child that still has these kind of memories?
I think, for me, talking about it brings it to the surface. So you're debunking all the fear, really, because I think the fear can build up. And if it's not explained and they're holding it in, that then creates a more powerful image or more powerful feeling. So exposing that, talking about it, understanding it, and then maybe sharing that, you may have lived this life ago. You don't have to go into massive detail, but sometimes, we have evolved and we've lived before on the earth. And this is not part of, it is part of you, but it's not something that, you have done in this life. You're not a bad person. So making sure that he understands that this was a past. And actually, if you track back all our past, somewhere we've all done that. We've all been.
That's what I said to him.
We've all done something. So just by giving him that understanding that, this is not you now, but in a previous life, you may have experienced this, but the skills that he may have bought from that is, as a soldier, he would have been strong. He would have had the strength, tap into the positives rather than what he feels are the negatives.
The tap in the positives, I really should have done more, but I did when he said, like, I murdered people. I'm horrible. Why do I see this in my head? I'm messed up. I'm messed up, Dad. Why do I see this? And, and then he's like, because he's gotten into it, he knows who the Nazis were and they were bad, and the sounds of it was he was probably a German soldier, because the way it sounded is like his friends abandoned him. This is what was going on. They were starving. It was winter. It was cold. They couldn't hold this hill, and a lot of the guys left. So that sounds like it. But what I said to him is that we've all been a good guy. We've all been a bad guy. That's the idea of past lives. We've all played a different part. and there really isn't a judgment.
No.
It's a lesson, it's a learn. It's like reading a book. There's bad guys in the book, and you're reading from their perspective sometimes. There's
Yeah.
good guys in the book, and you're reading from their perspective sometimes.
And
you
also,
learn.
yeah, and also for your son to know that, as a soldier, he was trained to do that. So it doesn't mean that he was a bad person. That was his job. That was his role. He had to fight for his country. So,
Right, and that's what I also told him too, as like the history of it. I mean, you didn't have a lot of a choice as a young man in Germany. You were going to go fight. It was your homeland. And there's no judgment on you on German people. There shouldn't be. There's a question from that just had that question up. Where'd you go? There it is. From Marty. Yeah, that one. From Marty, does the Gus feel we cycle through lives with soul groups via reincarnation?
yes, definitely. Definitely. We're all part of the soul group. So when we were talking earlier about when you had that early experience of your great grandfather, he's part of your soul group. So my understanding is we have groups like they can be family, they can be friends, but we travel together, and part of our lives we're weaved so that they're helping us or supporting us or teaching us. Sometimes it's teaching, it's not always comfortable, and we're doing the same for them. So yes, we definitely travel down with groups of souls.
I'm a firm believer, and I mean, one of the things Liam did too when he was young is he told my wife he chose us. And what's so funny about this, and I know you guys have heard these stories from me, but this is how I talk. I talk to people and we share experiences. Sorry. But when I was the week that I was moving out of my parents' house, I saw a translucent boy in the middle of the day walk through my parents' living room. I was not scared, felt all this immense love. He looked like he was 9 or 10, and he smiled at me. And I just I knew him. And I was not on drugs. I was clear and lucid. It was the middle of the day. I was not dreaming. I was not asleep. I saw him, and he just faded away. It was the most warm, loving feeling I ever felt. Well, many years later, Liam's born, and when they held that baby up, he actually smiled when they put him up to my wife's face after the C-section, and I knew it was him. And now that he's 8 years old, I know for sure that was the boy I saw. And he told my wife he chose us.
He chose you. We do choose our parents. We do definitely choose our parents. And I think that, when we're talking about reincarnation, we've been lots of different lives and we've been different roles. So, you may have been like a different change, like different gender, could have been mother and a son, or, but you recognize those souls. You might not understand why, but you definitely recognize them. I did that a lot as a teenager. I liked people, but I also didn't like people.
Right.
And I was like,
you didn't know why,
there's
right?
no reason for me not to like you. I just don't feel right with your energy. And, that's a soul connection is a connection that, you click and it feels right, or it feels strong. And it's not always an attraction. It can sometimes just be I feel really safe with this person. I feel really comfortable with this person.
Yeah. We'll get to Royal's question here. Royal says, I'm curious to know if Allison ever had convulsions or seizures when she was a child. I believe that was what gave me my gifts. Could Jason, well, yeah, we're asking.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Royal. No, I didn't have convulsions or seizures, but as a young child, I did feel myself vibrating and going out of my body. I never kind of went right out my body because I was always scared and was always managed to bring myself back down. But I've had that several experiences, even as an adult, this kind of like just about to astral travel, but not popping out
I've
my
had
body.
that feeling. I have
Yeah.
had that feeling at times. It's weird. And I'm not I've had some aspirature. The reason I'm scared of it is, you remember I told you about the shadow person experience? What it would do at night was literally, I swear, rip me out of my body and show me things that were happening. I'd actually confirm it later. The things they would show me were real, to torture me usually. So I'm a little scared of that, because it felt horrifying when this would happen. And, I would, at the time, first was like, these are nightmares. And then when this thing was physically, actually, I'm awake and seeing it and it levitating my body and stuff like that, I'm like, it's not nightmares. There's something more to this. But it would do this to me. It went on. And so I'm scared of that feeling, like I'm about to, leave an astral. I think that's why I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was pregnant with my first child, I went through the same thing, and I must have been about 8 months pregnant. And I was just so scared because, again, I hadn't developed. So although I had all these experiences, it wasn't until I was in my 30s with my second child that I started to understand more about it. So at this point, I was like, well, what if I die? Then where's my child go? You know, and I couldn't cope, and I kind of brought myself back down. So there's
Parents'
definitely
fear.
that fear of
Mhm.
what's going on and what's happening and what's it going to look like if I continue.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I've had people on that are astral projectors and like, this is how you do it. I'm like, I don't think I can. It's like, I get that feeling of back when I was like, you know, a teenager and I had this horrifying experience and I just shut down. I don't want to like do it. It just
I
scares
believe
me.
it's completely safe. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
I know
right.
it's
I
God's
know.
going to look after us, but
I've had, you know, a ton of guests tell me you'll be fine, you know, like, but I had that horrifying experience with this shadow person thing, you know, like, so I'm a bit scared of it, but I'd love to try. I mean, I think when I was young, I was astral projecting naturally because I'd see things and all that. I used to have dreams of the future, you know, and I still do at times. And I've had a lot of weird stuff in dreams. I've had dreams of past lives that I two of them that are convincingly to me believe were visions of two different existences I've had. Like they were too real.
Absolutely. And I believe that, you know, a lot of us do travel in our sleep anyways, but we don't always know it. So we can sometimes feel ourselves shuddering as we come back into our body. Or sometimes you wake up exhausted and know that you've been out there. You've been out there
Right?
learning,
Like, man, I didn't get
experiencing.
any. It's like you close your eyes and you wake up and like, I didn't get nothing, man. It's supposed to be, yeah, I got nothing out of that. What was I doing? You know?
Your soul is learning and it's growing. Whether it
Yeah.
resonates to you in your waking day, it's
And then,
different.
and like for you, you know, you say like in dreams, you know, your grandfather came through. I've had that experience. You know, I know I've had interactions with my grandmother and her sister, my aunt, came to me in dreams. I've seen my grandmother when I was awake on the day of her wake. I was at work. I saw her in a mirror. You know, like I honestly, I think so many of these things are happening around people all the time. They don't realize like what it
They
means.
don't. Yeah.
You know,
It's
the
like
spirit is interacting with us all the time.
Yeah. It's like signs that we're given to in the spirit world. You know, they often send us these little reminders that they're still here or little guidances or, you know, they're always nudging us back on the right path or in the right direction. And if you're open to it, it's brilliant. You recognize them and they send you more.
You recognize
But there's
it.
so many that go missed, completely go
Right.
missed.
Imagine how
Yeah.
frustrating it is for the spirit guides on the other
Oh, I
side.
know.
You know? Yeah. Or the spirit trying to come through and like talk to somebody and they're like looking for somebody else. I'm like, come on, man, who am I? What am I, chop liver to you? You know, that's what I always picture. It's got to be a little humorous at least. But you know, it's the thing is, you know, this ability. A lot of it is paying attention
Yes.
to the signs and trusting your
knowing-
gut.
Yeah, I was going to say that, and knowing that they are sending those signs. So I said, you know, if you open and believe, so the way that they will communicate with you, you know, do you feel them around you? Sometimes, unless you get that shudder or that feeling or that kind of like that mist, you know, it could be really, really subtle signs. But if you get them, say thank you, because they know then that
I
you've
do.
received it and they will send you more.
I do that. I do that.
I had
Well,
an
when I think I do, I'll
awesome
say thank you.
I had an awesome experience. I have that happen all the time. I do everything from like reading numbers and thinking, okay, they're telling me I need to go pull a car. I'm missing a message now, and I've got this whole thing that I do. But today there was a series of events that took me around back to the point where I got the clarity I was looking for earlier. But it was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Confirming and validating my guides were there helping me and validating I was doing the right thing.
That's and that's beautiful. I got into spirit numbers when my dad passed away, and I just noticed on your screen your number's got 444.
Oh yeah,
and which is a beautiful angelic number. And my unfortunately my father was he had a heart attack in the car, but all I knew was that he had an accident and that he'd been taken to the hospital. So, you know, we all kind of like made our way over to the hospital. And as I was driving, I could feel him in the seat next to me. And I was like, well, no, hang on, Dad, I don't know what you're doing here because I'm coming to see you. And then on the on the radio, you know, you have the time, it was 14:44, and that just like zoomed in at me, and I was like, 444, what does that mean? And then later on, obviously, we got to the hospital. He had already passed, unfortunately. And when I went back and I checked, what does 444 mean? It was like an army of angels are surrounding you. And I thought, yeah, that was it. So from that point on, whenever I see certain signs or certain numbers, I know that that is a spirit sign for me, or an angelic sign for me.
I get the
once you know
111
what
all
to
the
look
time.
for, you see life so
Yeah.
different, and fears, things you used to be afraid of. It's a whole other perspective once you start paying attention to those
It's
things.
comforting.
It is. It really is. And it's not a false sense of comfort. It's the real deal.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that you're not alone, that there's a presence
Yeah.
there, be it your guides, God, or whatever, that you're not alone. And that's what I always love about the near-death experiences people have shared on this show, too, because it's that feeling when they are out of their body and they're looking at their broken body or something that's happened to them, and this, like, oh, like a detachment, like everything's all right, no judgment. That feeling of unconditional love comes over them.
Yeah.
And that just that, and it changes them at that moment, because they realize that this is just a ride.
Yeah.
It's
It's another journey that we are traveling in. You know, our soul has had many journeys and will probably continue to have more journeys. So this is, the one that we are remembering right now.
I think the hard pill to swallow for people on the past life element, though, is for some people is, I picked my parents, I picked this life, I picked this situation. It's like it's adding an amount of spiritual personal responsibility, in a sense, to your predicament or how things are. Especially the parents ones, like, I picked them, and I did not, like, I can believe I picked my parents because I had great parents.
Yes,
Well,
me too.
my biological father was not great, but my stepdad was awesome. I picked great parents. You know what I'm saying? So but I get that. We're with young kids all the time. They have some very overbearing parents that would be like, I did not pick my parents. So I think that's a hard one.
But we did, because we picked them to learn from them, to grow from them. So there will be an element and an aspect that we have got from them that we needed to understand. And that's a really hard, people ask me that question all the time, but why would I pick that? And I'm like, because we have to grow, we have to evolve. We can't just keep having positive lives and wonderful experiences, because we don't grow and we don't learn unless there's things that need to be taught to us, so we have a better understanding. So it's a really hard one, particularly if it's such a terrible situation they've gone through. But yes, we have to take the rough and the smooth. There is that duality. There's that light and the dark, and that is how we, essentially, that's how our spirit can grow.
I've always explained it to people, because I'm a gamer, a video gamer. Yeah, I'm a geek. Is like, would you play a video game if you had all the unlocks and all the cheats? You might try it out. You might do some of the cheats, but you're going to be done with the video game because there's no challenge. You play video games with a challenge. Well, you come in here for a challenge, in a sense.
It'd be boring.
Yeah, otherwise it'd be boring.
Life's
right?
not boring. No.
I mean, look at all the celebrities that do have fame and success. Their lives are complete trash most of the time. If you look at any of them, they got horrible, their marriages fall apart, children are awful, or in drug rehabilitation, or they're in drug rehabilitation, or, they have all these ups and downs. They got all the money and they're famous, but half the time they're miserable. I'd take the money, though. Give me the money, not the fame.
But that's like ascended masters. That, they are ascended masters because they have gone through many initiations, and you don't get to be wise unless you've learnt along the way.
Gary.
I
This is
know.
from previous week's conversation, Gary. Fourth Kind is a horrible movie. Don't come in here and antagonize me now. Don't you do it. And I want to say sorry for your loss, too, Gary. Family member. Gary's a family member. He lost somebody close to him. Sorry, Gary. I'm glad to see you, buddy. But yeah, you had to come in here and dig on me with the Fourth Kind. I'm going to rip on you for that. Hate that movie. Speaking of that, do you have anything alien encounters?
Yes.
I had a feeling.
It's not necessarily my forte. It's not a big experience,
No.
but I have. I was lying in bed once and I saw an orb. Now, normally my orbs are loved ones, angels,
Right.
something like. And I saw the kind of like stereotypical, I have to say, eyes in this orb, and I just knew that that was something different. It was not kind of earthly as I knew it. And then scooted forward a few more years, and I was coming out of my sleep. So it was like in the morning coming out, and I had this, and it did look like a reptile. And I don't really go
Really?
into all of this because I don't really know a great deal about
I get that, but
the aliens.
I bring this stuff out of my guests because I get instincts about it, but I do it because we have to share notes. Like you don't
Yeah.
understand what happened. I still don't understand what happened with my shadow
No.
person thing. I actually felt like it is alien related, in a
Yes.
sense, because there's a lot more to that story that I haven't talked about here. I have, but not tonight. So that's why go ahead and share. I'm not going to judge you for not knowing
No.
anything about.
Well, I don't-
You
I
haven't
don't
read David
really-
Icke's books about the Royals and reptilians. I don't blame you.
Yeah, no,
But
I
want to
don't
hear this
really-
experience.
I had to ask my friend what it actually was because he is into like that area. But do you know what? Even though I felt that it was more kind of reptilian, he had a sword, and for me it was a warrior. But I wasn't scared.
Yeah.
I just felt that he was protecting. And then he came back again, and like probably another year later, and he was like, "I found you." And I thought, "What do you mean you found me? What have I done?" And I got really freaked, so I just kind of blasted
weird
everything
you
in
say
white
that.
light and called all the angels around me because I'm not really sure, but I know that there's something out there, and I know that somebody
It's
knows
weird
where
you
I
say
am.
that. It's where you say that, he says I found you because one of my things with that before that shadow person experience, which I said the thing people say, oh, it's a demon. I'm like, it felt alien to me. I don't know, interdimensional. I don't know. But before that, months before that, so I was on a camping trip where I might have been abducted. I had a lot of dreams later on. I've looked at. I might have been taken. I don't know. But this one was a camping trip, and in it, I had a dream where I was floated up out of my tent, and I'm like floating above the forest, and there's this bright light behind me. And at that moment, I'm like in a higher consciousness, like I know things I couldn't grasp later. But in it, I just suddenly thought, they found me. Like they finally found me. Oh no.
Yeah.
That was the thought. And I don't know what that meant totally. I've had some mediums try to tell me what that meant, and other abductees tell me what that meant. But I still wonder, but that was the feeling. That was very vague, and I wrote it off as a dream. And then many years later, I have alien abductees on here. I read a book by Terry Lovelace, great guest, alien abductee. And it opened up all that stuff, made me think about all these things I just wrote off as dreams. And I never know why I did, because I've been into this stuff since I was a kid. But I would like, oh, it's just dreams, my sci-fi imagination. But when I woke up in that tent after that experience, I had been flipped around. And the boots I went and strapped on my feet and slept in that night, because I'm out in the middle of the forest, nowhere near civilization. I sleep with my boots on. So something happens, I can go running, and I'm not barefoot. I was out of my boots, and they were, and I was flipped around. My boots were off my feet, by my feet. They'd gotten flipped around, but I don't remember taking them off or anything. And then when I woke up and it was like, the sun was just starting to rise, and there's this mist over the you could see out over Red River Gorge, Kentucky was where we were. And my friend's out there drinking coffee, and I was like, oh man, I don't know how I got my boots off or turned around. He's like, I don't know, I found you that way. And next thing you know, through the mist of the forest, we see this huge, bright light. I mean, massive light shoot up through the fog and mist up into the sky. We actually went and drove around trying to see what the source of that was. There's nowhere in that. There's a house like that was out in the off of a road way, but there's no way they can make that kind of light. That was huge, So that was that experience, But I'm saying like that idea when you said he found you is I'm thinking about the time when I thought they found me,
Yeah. But I still don't know too much. I mean, maybe they'll come back. Maybe it's like drip feeding. I definitely knew that I was aware. I knew it wasn't a dream because I felt it. It came right up close to me, and I was like, "Whoa!" But yeah, I kind of don't go down that route, really.
See, I think
the spiritual side and the angels.
I get that. And, I was saying earlier in the show about the Vatican's pronouncing of the supernatural and all that stuff. And, the guy who got punched by Buzz Aldrin saying that aliens are demons. Is that demons, angels, aliens, tomato? You know, we don't know how these things are related. That's why I call the show Paranormal Soup, because I feel like these things are all in a way connected.
Yes. I think there's definitely the light and the dark. You know, I don't necessarily go in with the, you know, the demonic stuff. And I'm sure lots of your viewers and lots of people are kind of interested and understand all of that. I just see it as kind of, as I said before, that duality. You know, there's the lightness and the darkness. I don't know whether I don't know whether I believe in hell or demons. Maybe that's just not my experiences, you know?
I do believe there's something dark. I mean, as a paranormal investigator, I've found people.
Yeah, something darker, something lower.
You know, that people encounter dark entities. If you want to call them demons because that's your religious perspective, fine. I don't know what they are, but there are definitely, I've encountered it, something dark that attacked me. You know, it was not nice, it was not friendly, and it was driving me to the brink of wanting to kill myself.
Right.
You know, as a teenager, and you know, if anybody has thoughts like that, get help. You know, seek help, and that even if it's paranormal, you know, talk to somebody, even if you don't think they'll understand, because that's the worst, to feel like you're alone in this situation. That's why I do this show. I wanted phone lines and chat rooms, so people have a way to talk and not be judged, because that was the worst, being 17, 18 years old, going through this, and feeling like even my mom, who I was very close to and was very understanding and open, I didn't feel like I could tell her. I didn't want to scare her.
And I think, again, going back to what we were saying before about being protected and being grounded and being open, because, you know, there's a lot of energy around there. There's a lot of not negative, well, you can say negative energy as well. And we can tap into good energy and negative energy. And it's how it resonates within ourselves. So by keeping ourselves cleansed and clear and grounded, and surrounding ourselves perhaps with that white light, or cleansing ourselves with that white light, then, you know, we've got a little bit more control of where our energy is actually seeping out.
And I think that's what people don't understand about it, about the energy exchange too, you know, with that. You know, we were talking about with other people, but it's your intent. I don't think I did this one, the World Wide Web Weird, but I saw an article recently, read about a paranormal investigator who she literally has her house filled with all kinds of macabre stuff, like even like Zach Baggins does, stuff from serial killers, dark stuff. Like,
I saw that article.
Like, you saw that article, right? And I just think, like, why? You know, I'm interested in the paranormal. I love the idea of the supernatural on the other side, but I don't want Ted Bundy's glasses. You know, I don't want Jack Kevorkian's van. Yes, I'm talking to you, Zach Baggins. I don't want those things. They're dark. Those are horrible, nasty people. You know, I don't want, you know, maybe no judgment on the other side. They're playing a part, blah, blah, blah. We can get into the philosophical of that, but I don't want any part of it. I don't want their darkness.
You don't want to invite that into your life. You know, you're supposed to be living in a harmonious, you know, in a harmonious place or space. I know that when I was younger, again, you know, before I really understood all these things, I couldn't go into antique shops. My mum and dad used to take me into antiques, and I used to hate them because I was picking up all the energy from all these objects, and I didn't know what was going on, but I just knew that my body couldn't cope with it, and I hated it.
Yeah, no, I get that. You know, I'm scared to bring. You know, I love history and old houses and do antiques and do estate sales, but I'm afraid, what are you going to bring into your house when you go get antiques? You know, you never know.
Yeah.
We do got a phone call when I get here too, before we go to our last commercial break. We got Dan on the line. How you doing tonight, Dan?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks
for
calling.
How are you tonight, Jamie? Well, yes. I had a question, but first I was going to touch on what you were saying earlier about, you know, because I had my experience with that board when I was about 18, and I thought, you know, it got to the point, it got to that point where, hey, you know, there's no way out. Plus, I wasn't, you know, the best at that time anyway, which was probably my problem.
That's usually the how those Ouija board stories end up bad, is people do them and they're in a bad place.
Yes.
Did you have a you want to tell her about it, or have a question about that experience?
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
How are you tonight? Alison?
I'm good, thank you.
I was just curious, in your mediumship if you come across number patterns daily in your life, or
We were talking about that earlier.
if you've had that situation?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. So
Did
I
it-
was talking about my experience with the number 444 and those repeated angelic patterns, but they're not just repeated numbers. So sometimes I look at 13, 13, 14, 14. So there's lots of different combinations. So for me, numbers hold an energy. So when they are repeated, they are heightened. But if you get something like 41, 41, you look at the energy of a 4, you look
42.
at the energy of a 1, blending it together, and that will give you some kind of guidance. There's signs all over the place, and numbers are just amazing. Number plates, clocks, everything. I look at numbers all over the place.
Yeah, I was just curious because I've had similar problems. Well, not a problem, but
Experience.
yeah, pretty extreme cases of. It's usually 1s and 3s or a combination, 11, 33, or 333, or combinations of those numbers just everywhere. I've had clocks stop or, end up 13 minutes slow all the time, or 11 minutes slow. And I don't know.
That's just from the alien abductions, man.
What's that?
That's it. It's just from the alien abductions. That's all.
I think numbers are really, I think they can use numbers a lot. So, everybody knows about robins and feathers and things like that, but numbers actually are quite easy for the spirit world to tap into. And it's something that we do recognize. So 1s are all about new beginnings and starts and awakenings, and 3s are all about creativity. So, if you're seeing 1s and 3s or 3s and 1s, putting that together is perhaps for you a start of something creative, or a creative project or creative time in your life. New beginnings. So look out for those.
Okay.
He is very creative.
Yeah.
Very artistic.
Right
And
now,
you did
for
start
me,
doing that.
it's fun.
You did start doing a lot of new artistic stuff over the last year.
That's true, yes.
So that would make sense.
It would make sense, yes.
Did you have another question for Allison?
Well, I think that's all I got tonight.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Jamie and Jason. Have a good night.
You too, bud.
Thank you.
I mean, if you look at the tarot, it's numbers too. I mean, like I said, you use a playing card deck. A lot of it's about the numbers and the suits. I've had a guest on here all about numbers, and he told me to put a gold 3 on my address, that I needed a 3 attached to my address. So I do. I have a little gold 3 I wrote in there, with a like gold marker. I'm like, oh, he says it'll bring me prosperity and luck and stuff. Okay, I'll do it.
As we were just sitting here, I noticed on my end it was 1010. And then when I looked it up, it actually goes along perfectly with my message from earlier.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool.
I mean, there's so many ways people, I think, can find communication from the spirit world. Like I said, I think they're doing it all the time. And it just takes you noticing it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Now, for you, the healing part, that you do the mediumistic part, but you also do healing, like for people to connect with you for that. Like, what kind of services are you providing for mediumship, healing, or how does that work, or how people connect with you?
So I do the mediumship. I love doing the mediumship, and I love doing the spiritual teaching as well. I'm a Reiki master, so I also do the attunements to Reiki. So I give, and in my healing umbrella, I do Reiki. There's Rahani, which is about the open heart, the oneness, balancing the masculine and the feminine. I do the crystal as well, and I also bring in the past life regression because for me, although that's really interesting, I always use the past life regression as a healing. So to tap into that so that they can understand where they are where their energy is and who they are and where they're moving forward, what they can hold on to, what are their gifts. And I also do a lot of meditation as well. I run a meditation group as well.
For the past life thing, I've always said I wish everybody could have like the past life vision dreams that I've had, the two, or have one. Just have one of a life you've lived as a totally different person. Have that experience, because it will open your mind up to the idea that you're so much more than the ego or facade that you think you are. Because one, I was a little black girl, and another, I was a Buddhist monk. I'm saying, like, I was totally two different people, but I was those people, and it opened my mind up that there's a higher self. There's something more than just this facade of Jason Bland. Talk about myself in third person, right?
But all of your experiences are held within your aura and within your cells. So, everything that you have been, everything that you are today, and everything that you're going to be, it's all held there in your DNA, really, in your aura, which is what a psychic taps into. That's why a psychic can say, this is likely to come up, and I always say lightly because of free will, because that energy is already there. It's already been, because there's that understanding of time and space happening at the same time. We are evolving it, so there's not necessarily a past, a present, and a future.
You're living that past life right now, kind of deal.
Yeah. So we're all, aspects of our souls are experiencing other things.
That's when you start making people's brain hurt.
I know. That's when my
It's
brain
like time
hurts.
travel. It's like time travel. There's no time on the other side, no time, and it's all happening right now.
Yes.
That's hard for people to come. All right now. You just missed it. It happened now. All right. But I think that's the hard part for people to get their mind around, like time travel in a sense, is that idea that there is no time, that the past life you think of is actually happening now. Now. There is no now. There isn't no past. It is all now. It's a hard thing for people to concept, but like I said, I wish everybody could have that past life experience. Just to open them up to more of the idea of who they are. I explained a lot about both those lives when I looked at it and analyzed it. Explains a lot about why I'm wired the way I am.
Yeah.
I don't like people having. I was a little black girl. I was a slave girl. I don't like people having authority or power over others. It's just been wired into me ever since I can remember. And I don't trust government or religion, because in the Buddhist monk scenario, when I was the Buddhist monk, I turned in whatever our guru or leader of our temple for basically using opium. And these soldiers came, raided the temple, and shot and killed me. So I don't trust religion, and I don't trust the government.
Yeah.
It explains why I've been wired that way.
But this is why past lives are so interesting. It's because it is our makeup. It's what we believe. It's our core beliefs, who we are. And that's why when I said, when you're doing past lives, you can tap into where your fears or your anxieties are. And mostly, or sometimes they're in your childhood, or you've had those experiences. But actually, the ones you can't explain have come from a past life. So like drowning, for example.
Well, as you can say, that's that. See, I've had a big fear of water. Like a big fear. My earliest memory is my mom, before I could talk, had me in like one of those infant swimming things.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, now put your baby underwater. And if everybody puts the baby underwater, and they're like, woo. Me, I remember getting put underwater. I couldn't even talk yet. I remember this and seeing the drain at the bottom, of this YMCA pool and go, as I scream my head off. And my mom had to get me out of the pool. I remember that. My mom does not believe me that I remember that, but I do. She's like, it's just for me telling you about it. Like, no, it's like a scarred memory in my brain. Yeah. And I've always feared the water. But, I always wonder if that's past life. I don't know. I've never had a dream about past life, about the water. But I had Lori, what's it, Spencer? I can't remember. She used to be on a TV show. She was a medium on a TV show. It was a ghost hunting show. I can't remember. But she just out of nowhere goes, oh, yeah, you have a fear of water, right? Yeah? No, she goes, it's because you were on a boat. I see you on a ship that went missing in the Bermuda Triangle. I'm like, that's interesting, because I've always been fascinated with missing ships. I love ships, even though I fear the water.
Yeah.
I love big ships. Like when I was a kid, I'd love to go see like the abandoned battleships or whatever, the battleship museums and stuff. I love the big ships. I do. But I hate the water. I'm a fear of the water. It's a conundrum. So when she said that, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah. And if it resonates, then it has to be real.
Yeah, she might be right on that one. I don't think I've experienced that in a dream or a vision because I fear the water so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it holds me back from like seeing that past life because wherever it is, it probably not end well. You know, like I don't want to see that. I like the Titanic. Like I read the book, you know, and then I, you know, of course, saw the Leonardo DiCaprio movie. It's hard for me to watch that. Like I you know, I love the big boat and seeing that. I'm just gonna stop watching before we get to the end where the ship sinks. You know, I don't want to see that part. We all know how this ends. You know, but fears and phobias, I definitely think could affect you or carry
Maybe
over
that's
past
something you
lives.
should explore, and then you can release
I
it.
watched the ending of the Titanic. I mean, that's as far as I'm gonna explore it. I don't know. I'm like my wife takes the kids to the beach without me because they're not gonna have a good time if I'm there because I'm gonna be constantly hovering over them like you're going out too far. You know, like like my son Liam, you know, got the adventurous soul that he is, soldier or whatever past life. He wanted a kayak for his birthday or for Christmas. And I'm like, really, do we have to do this? Do we really have to get him a kayak? Can we please not get him a kayak? I tried not to voice it, but that's how I felt the whole time. My wife bought him a kayak. He's going to be using it this summer. I don't know if I can watch him do it. Like, that's how bad it is with me in water, and especially with my children, you know. I
definitely past life trauma.
Yeah, definitely, because it's just ingrained in me. Like, I just have a total fear of it, you know. And I help ingrain that fear with my children when I like Jaws. Movies like that, you know. Oh yeah, I'll never forget showing Dean. You know, he wanted to see a shark movie so bad. He loves monster movies and stuff like that. But we went to a Shed Aquarium and he got the shark stuffed toy, and he begged me to watch Jaws. I'm like, dude, you're too young. You're too young. You know, you can't watch Jaws. Please, I just want to see a shark monster movie. Please. We let him watch Jaws, and I forget how bad, I love Jaws. I'm a Steven Spielberg fan. I forgot how bad that first scene is. And that girl gets killed in the water. He saw that, went running out of the room, grabs the stuffed shark, and throws it on the ground. I hate sharks now.
Oh, bless him.
Like, yeah, parenting fail. You know. He's watched that movie a billion times now, though. He loves monster movies. Spielberg, you know.
Yeah.
Jaws, Jurassic Park. But it's just funny. You know, like, things that scar you as a kid, but you have to also now deal with things that might have scarred you in a past life, too, that you're going to carry over. You know, snakes is another one. That's my other phobia.
Yes, I don't like snakes. I can cope with sharks. I don't like snakes.
Well, you know, like, if I ever ran into, like, saw a reptilian person like yours, that is the last kind of alien I want to see. I do not want to see a reptilian. Remember the show V? That would creep me out, that show. I was fascinated. I watched it. But, like, eating the gerbil and stuff and, you know, like, the reptilian thing. I do not want to meet a reptilian alien. Gray's cool, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Arcturians, cool. You know, they're all feather and avians, whatever. I'll meet them, just not the reptilians. I'm not trying to be, you know, racist towards the reptilian aliens. Okay. All right. I just have a problem. I guess it's my I'm not woke enough for the reptilians. I just can't do snake people. I can't. I can't. For people also tonight, you know, wanting to learn, you're talking about meditation. What's some things you can recommend meditation-wise? You know, meditation's not like a walk in the park for some people. No. You know, it's hard to quiet the monkey mind. What's your recommendations for people for that before we go to commercial break?
I think, you know, go with what you feel you can do. So if sitting in a quiet space and putting on some music is your thing, then that's brilliant. That's amazing. Some people like the silence. Some people don't like the silence. So if you don't like the silence, go for a guided meditation. So somebody is talking you through it. But for me, you know, gardening, cooking, walking in nature, that's an all part of a meditative state. It's just about shifting your mind and becoming more present than allowing your brain to be thinking about the past, thinking about the to-do lists. So the therapeutic aspects of meditation is when you can quiet and still your mind. So whatever you enjoy doing, whatever brings that peace inside is what I would recommend that you do. You know, don't sit for hours trying. You know, that's pointless.
Yeah, it is pointless.
You know, Music is amazing. I love to sit, and I think there's different meditations for different reasons. And sometimes I sit for that peacefulness, for the mindfulness. Other times I'm sitting with my guides for communication. So just having that intention on what you are sitting for would also help.
Having the intent before you sit down, like this is the purpose of this, basically.
Yeah.
I do like, when I was 20, I was like super like I'm gonna get spiritual and I'm meditating and like I was doing the full pose and I was reading Buddhist books and like getting into it, and then life happened. I remember being young and 20 and thinking, why aren't everybody else thinking about these deep spiritual ideas and meditating and and then life happened and bills and kids and I'm like, that's why. Oh yeah. But what I do now is like sometimes I get an hour break at work and I go out to my car where it's quiet, usually if nobody's parked next to me on their Bluetooth speakerphone or playing music, but otherwise usually quiet, and I get like 20 minutes and I will meditate.
Yeah. And I think for me it's just allowing yourself to be. That's all meditation is. And everybody thinks you have to do meditation to be spiritual. You have to, there's meditations where you've got soft music, or you've got the powering up where you have like music to emotive. Music is very emotive. So whatever your thing, go for that. Don't be, there's not a set pattern. You're not going to be spiritual if you can't meditate, because, as I said, I'll be cooking and spirit will be, my guides are coming in. I'm like, really? I'm busy cooking. So they will find you, they will communicate with you, whether you're meditating or not. So for me, meditation is very much about what I need to still my mind and to recharge my energy.
Yeah, that's why I do the 20-minute at work, because that helps me get back and get the rest of the rest of my shift. But it's like I need that moment to quiet the mind and just let my thoughts pass and not dwell on anything, and let's just clear it out. Like, it's rejuvenating. We're going to go to our last commercial break. Phone lines will be back open, guys, when we come back, so don't call in until we come back for commercial break. But our guest tonight is Alison Grey. She is author of The Mindful Medium, A Practical Guide to Spirituality. Call in like Dan did, have a question. We're all developing our abilities and learning, and we can learn from our guest tonight, Alison Grey. Call in with your questions when we come back from the short commercial break.
Intercepted transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated.
I will hear it.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're gonna go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college, I've got a family to support, and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive.
Come
Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is $42. Yes, I thought it over quite thoroughly. It is, it's 42. It would have been simpler, of course, to have known what the actual question was.
But it was the question. The ultimate question. Of everything.
That's not a question. Only when you know the question will you know what the answer means.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest has been Alison Grey, author of The Mindful Medium, A Practical Guide to Spirituality. We only got her for about another 15 minutes or so. It is morning time for her. She's got kids getting up. We want to make sure she gets going here. So we're glad to have her on as long as we can. But if you do want to call in before we have her leave and end the show, you got about 10 minutes or so. call in, join the conversation, but let's go ahead and get back to our guests. Thank you, Allison, for sticking with us. I know you got to go here soon, but last off, do we get a website out for you? Want to make sure people have a way they know how to contact you.
Yes, lovely, thank you. It's Alison Grey, AlisonGreyMedium at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. AlisonGreyMedium at gmail.com. So they can just email you, and you go from there, right?
Absolutely, that'd be amazing. Thank you. I do have a website also that you can get me on. So and social media.
All right. Well, everybody's trying to call in now, so let me go ahead and get these calls before we do. Who do we have on the line?
Hi, Jason. It's Azariana. How are you and Rob and Jamie doing tonight?
Doing good. Thanks for calling in, Azariana.
Yeah, I have a question for your guest. Is there anybody that has asked for a reading from her that she was just so compelled not to do, like whether it's nasty or they've done something or
Like my experience, yeah.
Yeah, or they're or let's say they're going to have an accident or die or
like
something
the Christopher
like
Walken
that.
dead zone thing. You like hold her in, like, oh, you see that, and have some horrible accent, like faces of death.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your answer, Alison?
Well, thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you for that question. I do often get asked that. For me, it hasn't necessarily happened. Again, I always, when people ring me up or when people send me a message and ask for a reading, there's always seems to be initially that feeling, that energy. So I always get that understanding. Yes, let's do this. Let's book it in. If I had a feeling that I couldn't do it, it would normally be because I was busy or I was fully booked or something like that. I haven't really had that where I felt I couldn't see a future for somebody. Having said that, I feel like Spirit always engineered the reading. So I feel like it's their guides, their people, their loved ones that are bringing them to me. And sometimes what's coming up in your future or what's coming up around you isn't always, I mean, there's always going to be highlights. We're not just in one situation, but they sometimes bring you here for reassurance. So if you're going through a tricky time or a tricky situation, you're more than likely that your guides, your loved ones have brought you to me or any other medium so that you can get clarity and understanding and then guidance for moving forward. So that's how I normally see readings. Not that you haven't got a future, it's more to do with, this is tricky, but this is why you've been brought here so that you can move forward. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Thank you very much for answering that. I always wonder about that,
When I was a kid, I was fascinated. One of the first Stephen King books besides The Shining I read was The Dead Zone. Like, I was fascinated with that movie with Christopher Walken.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See that, but that's not how it works, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Readings aren't meant to be scary. Readings aren't meant to be scary.
I did meet a guy, that a friend of mine, or was like a mentor kind of in the music world of this town. That when I was a teenager, I met that he told me that his ability is that whenever he meets, most of the time he meets people, he sees how they're going to die.
Really?
I'm like, that would be a horrible ability. That would be horrible.
I don't think I want that gift.
Right?
And would you tell him?
And he would not tell him. He said he would not tell
know?
him. He said it's not his point. It might be shown.
I think you have to say, because if you're given that information, they're giving you that information for a reason.
That's what I said. I'm like, then why see it? What's the point if you're not to tell? I don't know.
It's how you deliver it. It's how you deliver it and the words that you're using.
He wouldn't have been the best guy to deliver that kind of news. I'll tell you that. Well,
Yeah.
Ariana, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you, and blessings to everybody.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
But yeah, like I said, he wouldn't have been a good bedside manner, I don't think, delivering that kind of news to people. I think, and he knew that. But why was he shown that if that was the case, And then he's telling me that. I'm like, so you've seen how I died? He goes, yep. I'm like, and I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah. No.
I'm like, you're just doing this to mess with me, man. Screw you. But he
I
was
think,
dead
I think
serious.
that's part of our journey and part of our learning is that we're not necessarily meant to know how we go.
Would you
and
want to
where-
know?
Yeah, and when we're going, I always say, even if somebody comes to me in a reading and they're talking about their partners or there's somebody who's sick, who's not well, it's not for me to say the spirit world are here to get them. That's for me, that's a power I don't want. That's
Right.
something, that's a responsibility that let me see how we can help. Let's see what's going on and how can we make things easier. But it's not for me to say, they're on their way.
It's like spoiling the ending of a movie for somebody.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that.
No.
You're not going to be able to change it, then don't. But that was my friend's point. He's like, I can't change anything,
Yeah.
if I see it. So I'm like, but why be shown that, that'd be the worst mediumistic ability, I guess, is be shown that, I've had things I've not told people I've seen, though, because I just don't it's not my place. I don't know why I'm being shown this, but they don't know this about me. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to be weird. I'm not a medium. But I've had that experience, and I've not said anything to people.
No, I mean, I have said to my guides, that's something I don't necessarily want. If it comes, so we had a family member, and we found out, I don't know, I think it was in the January or the February. It was a friend of the family that we grew up with, that he had cancer. And straight away, I saw this Christmas card with his wife and his children. And I was like, oh, his name is not on the card. His name is not on the card. And I knew. I didn't know when, but I knew. And then 8 months later, he passed away.
Yeah.
So
and if you
I'll
told anybody,
know
what would
that,
it
and
change?
I don't ask for that. That's given
Yeah.
to me. But I wouldn't go and say, when's this person going to, because
You wouldn't go to his family. It's like, well, you had your last Christmas. You're not going to do that. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody wants to hear that, and you shouldn't ruin that thing. But I hope no mediums out there doing that.
Because the person is still trying to heal. They're still trying to get better. They're still remaining.
You're telling there's no hope, right? Nobody's going to do that.
Exactly.
But it's like we're given sometimes this information is not to share. Sometimes we're just given information, I think. Don't share it.
Definitely.
That would be a bad one. Well, Alison, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I know you got to go. Again, your website, I should have wrote it down. Give your website again?
It's Alison Grey Medium. It's the Mindful Medium. So.
Is it the Mindful Medium?
Yeah, so it comes up as Alison. If you type in Alison Grey medium.com, that will bring it up. But
That'll bring it up. Okay.
Yeah, it's the Mindful Medium as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. You have a lovely morning with your children. I will be getting up in 6 hours and doing it with my children. So thank you so much.
Thank you
have
so
a
much
great
for
night.
having me. It's been great fun. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you guys. We're ending the show a little early. She's over in the UK. And like I said, I'm always appreciative of our UK guests for coming on at 4 a.m. in the morning for them. So thank you so much, Alison. But that's it for the show, guys. We will be back next Sunday, same bad time, same bad channel. No guests next week. We're going to do some worldwide web weird, a little bit open lines and a shorter show next week. But we do have guests booked further. I am starting to get some guests booked, and we will also do more open lines. And we got to do the psychic game night. We will do that. We got to plan one of these shows for that again here soon. All right, guys, that's it for the show. See you next week. Have a great night.